warned that changing speed limits will not in itself resolve road safety issues. Among them was Councillor Declan Meehan.
The reality is that we know that there are a multitude of factors that are causing road traffic accidents and collisions, and it's all very well and good to, suggest and plan to lower the speed limits wholesale across the country and across the county. But in reality, what we need is enforcement, and what we need is better safety, road safety measures and traffic calming measures in our towns and villages.
The union representing Aer Lingus pilots is due to announce the results of a ballot later this morning aimed at ending a bitter pay row with the airline. IALPA had recommended members accept a Labour Corps proposal for a 17.75 pay rise at the airline. Aer Lingus says it will accept the deal, which also sees changes to leave arrangements during summer months. Employment law professor at Maynooth University, Michael Doherty, says it can't be assumed that it will be accepted by pilots.
When the deal was announced, and it was particularly when it was recommended by the union executive, we all thought, okay, well, this is the end of it, or that was the perception certainly out there. But we have had situations before where unions have recommended deals to their members and the members have not accepted them. So it's not a done deal just yet.
Weather now largely dry today with a mix of cloud and sunshine, a maximum temperature of 18 to 22 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
ach cuireann siad fada steachart agus túig tomaint. Is féidir le roinnt drogaí tú bhfuilliú. Rud a ágan bhfuil buailán go nionad tú botún.
Cuireann drogaí eile farragar tí bhír don ruistíortha.
Bhín tú ag tomaint ruisciúpaí. Má bhín tú ag tomaint faoi cheannachar drogaí is féidir leis tusa do chuid passionéirí agus daoine eile ar a móthar a chur a míl. Ná tomaint faoi cheannachar drogaí go brach, ónúdar as umhaváilteocht ar bmhóithire. Tour court at rsa.ie.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
And a very good morning to you. This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's Donal Kavanagh with you on till 12 noon today. Lots to talk about on the show, both local and national. But as we always say, the absolute centre of this programme is your news, your views, your perceptions and your perspectives on the issues of the day, or the issues indeed you want to see raised on the programme. If you do want to let us know what you want to talk about, you can make contact with us. You can text us or WhatsApp us on 086 60 25,000. Call us on 074 91 25,000. If you're outside the dialing area, it's 00353 7491 25,000. You can use social media. We're at Highland Radio on X. We're Highland Hub on Facebook. We're across other social media platforms as well. And indeed, you can watch the show live. You can see the Zoom calls as they happen, and indeed see our studio guests as they speak to us in studio, not least our representative from An Garda Síochána, because it being a Tuesday. Today we will, of course, have our Garda information slot. That's coming up shortly after 10 o'clock this morning. So you can watch the show unfold via our Facebook channel, Highland Radio Ireland, or indeed, our Facebook channels, Highland Radio News and Sport and Highland Radio, and our YouTube channel, which is Highland Radio Ireland. We're fierce technical altogether here. But however you choose to engage, whether it be online, whether it be on radio, as is traditional, however you choose to do it, you're very welcome to the 9 till noon show, and we look forward to your interaction and to your contribution to the programme this morning. We'll start with a look at the papers. The Irish Independent. It's an interesting headline. It's an issue you hear come up from time to time, and it's raising its head again. Farmers squeezed out of land deals by rich investors. Farmers are being squeezed out as wealthy buyers seek to snap up parcels of land across the country, and that's pushing up prices. The Farming Independent Land Price Review for the first half of the year has found the land sold under the hammer averaged 18,890 across the country last year per acre, and that's a 17% jump on the previous year. And we'll take a look at the Donegal figures perhaps a little bit later on. An interesting story on the inside, actually. Blood test can predict 67 major diseases up to 10 years before they strike. Now, they say forearmed is forewarned, and when it comes to medicine, more and more what's becoming important is diseases and potential illnesses are being detected ever more quickly. And this is a really, really important one. That blood test, experts discovered that dozens of diseases have distinctive protein signatures which act like fingerprints. They flag up the presence of conditions up to a decade before diagnosis, and diseases that can be spotted include motor neuron, diabetes, heart failure, leukemia, cataracts, several cancers, gout, liver cirrhosis, arthritis and angina. And we're coming to a stage, I think, where more and more we'll be able to head off a lot of illnesses at the pass, and we'll get to the point where we will know that we have maybe a low-grade illness or a low-grade whatever, but we won't be too concerned about it because it'll have been caught so quickly and caught so early that it'll be at the really, really early stage, and it can be managed and it can be monitored. And once you're being monitored, and I can tell you this from personal experience, once you have something and you catch it early and you're being monitored, then it's just a matter of, you go to hospitals, and as I always say to a friend, I have to go to a hospital at least once a year, and the biggest worry I have is where am I going to get parked? And as long as that's the biggest worry I have, I reckon, hey, we're really ahead on that one. So that blood test predicting up to 67 major diseases up to 10 years before they strike. That's according to Sarah Napton, writing on the inside of the Irish Independent this morning. It's a very interesting one indeed, and we will watch that one with interest, because when it comes to medical matters, the key words always are get checked. If you feel there is anything potentially there, get checked. And if there were two words you wanted to on the inside of your eyelids, they are the two words when it comes to medicine. Get checked, because more and more these tests are picking things up earlier and earlier and earlier. And that is really, really important. Irish Times front page, Sinn Féin pledges new migration system in policy shift. And that's something Sinn Féin doing a lot of soul searching, I think, after the local and European elections. The party looking ahead to a general election, very probably in the autumn of this year. The first 2 weeks in November do appear to be the favoured date, probably in and around about the 14th or so of November, which will be pretty much a week after the US general election. So, hey, it's going to be a really, really heavy October and November when it comes to electoral campaigning on both sides of the Atlantic, I strongly suspect. Pelosi joins Democrat grandees in backing Harris. That's another front page story there. And the Vice President Kamala Harris does appear to be getting the support of the various Democratic bigwigs. Nancy Pelosi, the latest to come out in her support. She has, we're now told, got the necessary support that she needs in order to seek that nomination. They're going to have some online forums in the week before the Democratic Convention, the convention taking place in mid-August. So it certainly seems that it'll be a Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump battle for the American presidency. Now, can Kamala Harris get the support in swing states? We had that discussion yesterday with Raymond. Raymond had his doubts on that regard. And there's also the feeling that Kamala Harris is coming from a sort of a position of not as much support as she would like. But we'll have to see what happens. We'll see how it pans out. I mean, very few people 4 months out were giving Donald Trump any chance against Hillary Clinton. And we saw how that one panned. So I would not be writing anything off yet. Trump probably is still favoured, probably still in the ascendancy, but I would be writing nothing off at this point. We'll have to see how it pans out. Again, inside the Irish Times, unions say new HSE staffing strategy will see the suppression of 2,000 posts. And we discussed this yesterday, that unions are looking at potentially taking action as they fear a number of vacancies will not be filled. The strategy introduced last week, they believe, will mean the abolition of 2,000 vacant funded posts will not be reinstated, and that will have a serious impact on patient safety. Unions have sent a letter to the HSE arguing that the pay and numbers strategy was put in place without consultation and fails to meet the HSE's legal obligations. The HSE Chief Executive Bernard Gloster last week said a new employment ceiling would be set at 125,420 whole-time equivalent positions. That, he says, it's the number of occupied paid posts in place at the end of December last year. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But a lot of discussions, I think, coming up in the coming weeks and months between the HSE and the unions, and the possibility of action over this whole issue of staffing can't at this point be ruled out. Just put this away from me. I think I'm feeding back a bit on this, actually. Looking at the Irish Daily Mail this morning, a lot of coverage of the Bishop Eamon Casey situation. There was a documentary last night on television, and there was also a lot of discussion on national radio about Eamon Casey and his legacy, and specifically the fact that he was being treated and was regarded as a predator. And the niece of the former bishop told an RTE1 documentary last night that she had horror at his stately funeral in the cathedral, and a lot of pushback now at the fact that the body of Eamon Casey is buried in the cathedral in the Diocese of Tuam. And a lot of people are saying, well, maybe what we should now be doing is removing Eamon Casey's body from the cathedral, because he doesn't deserve to have that burial as a former bishop and have that honour given to him. It was indeed a state, I mean, it would be the church equivalent of, not a state funeral, but certainly the funeral of a dignitary. And to be buried in the cathedral is an honour which is preserved for very few people, and a lot of people arguing that Eamon Casey does not deserve that honour, and there should be consideration of exhuming his remains from the cathedral and burying it somewhere more appropriate. If you have a view on that, do get in touch. As we said, text us 086 60 25,000 or call us 07491 25,000. We're open to your comments and we look forward to them. Looking at the Red Tops this morning, all the Red Tops have the same main story. Girl 11 dies in Balcony Fall horror, and that sad and tragic story of 11-year-old Clodagh Phelan from County Wicklow, who died after falling from a balcony on holiday in Mallorca. She was on her last day of a Club Mac holiday in Alcudia with her family when the tragedy occurred. Pictures too of the homecoming of Claire as they returned home to Ennis last night with the Sam Maguire Cup. Not the Sam, go Donal, with the Liam McCarthy Cup. I do beg your pardon, Liam McCarthy, not the Sam Maguire. Again, on the inside, so much promise snatched away. Clodagh 11 dies after falling 65 feet from apartment's balcony, and tributes have been pouring in to the 11-year-old, and such a sad, sad story. That one indeed. Looking at the Irish Sun this morning, Kamala in $50 million boost again. Kamala Harris getting that funding from her party colleagues. Inside, Roy's come a cropper. Guard bars star from set. Corey's Roy Cropper came a cropper when the security staff on the sub set failed to recognise him. And David Nielsen, 75, the actor who plays Roy, was not allowed in because he wasn't recognised when he tried to get on set for filming. And I'm sure that's one embarrassed security guard there. Also looking inside the Sun this morning, and there's an interesting one. Shake up on the way they claim for Strictly. Strictly stars arrived to start training for the new series yesterday as BBC consider a cull of long-serving dancers after alleged abusive behaviour. Up to 5 professionals, we're told, could face the axe next year in the wake of the scandal surrounding Giovanni Pernice and Graziano De Prima. And that's a story in the Irish Sun, so if you're a Strictly fan, there could be change afoot. Finally, the Star, again, it's exactly the same story on the front page. The story of that 11-year-old Clodagh Phelan, who fell to her death in Mallorca, and a very sad story indeed. And also looking inside, Callan shock cancer news. RTE star Oliver Callan shocked his radio listeners with news that he's been diagnosed with skin cancer. The comedian explained his long absence from the radio show, which saw Maura Duran take over, was because he was diagnosed with a basal cell carcinoma and needed to undergo surgery to remove it. What happened, he said, was like thousands of us with our Irish skin. I got one of those mild skin cancers. And we wish Oliver the best, and hopefully he will make a full recovery, as indeed he should, because again, and I said this earlier, and I will always bang on about this, and I will never stop saying this because it's so important. If you feel there is anything amiss on any part of your body, get it checked. Because sometimes you get it, and most of the time you get it checked and it's nothing, and you can go home and think, yeah, it was nothing, it was a mole. Grand, no problem. And if it's just a mole, happy days, it's just a mole. But maybe it's not just a mole. And in Oliver's case, he discovered it wasn't just a mole, but he got it checked, he got it diagnosed, he got it sorted, and he's got it dealt with. And he's now back at work, and that's the way we want it to be. It's 9:15. Do please get in touch with the show if there's anything you want to discuss with us on the programme this morning. As we say, 086 60 25,000 for your texts or WhatsApps. You can call us on 074 91 25,000, 0035 374 91 25,000 if you're outside of the dialing area. 9:15, we'll take a short break.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
McElhinney's summer sale is here. Grab your favourite designer brands for a fraction of the price. We have a massive 50% off your favourite designer fashion, home, jewellery and beauty brands. Make your savings go further on sterling cash purchases with a €1.20 rate. Shop the sale rails this summer at McElhinney's Ballabafay or online at mcelhinney's.com.
If you're painting outside your home or business premises, Watson Hire have a brilliant deal on Storm Shield exterior paint. Get 3 10-litre buckets of white Johnson's Storm Shield for $119.95 or 3 buckets of coloured Storm Shield for just $149.95. Johnson Storm Shield is rainproof in 20 minutes. Ideal for the Donegal weather, and Watson's can mix thousands of colours. Call in and talk to the paint specialist for advice and see loads more paint deals in store at Watson Hire, Lisnenan, Letterkenny.
Step out of the ordinary and into the new Lexus LBX, because this is the luxury compact SUV reimagined in every detail, where style, elegance and innovation define a new kind of driving experience. It's your world. Make it extraordinary. Experience the new LBX Hybrid at your Lexus retailer, available with a range of flexible payment options. Lexus. Experience amazing.
Your local dealer is Lexus Letterkenny.
On today's broadband breaking news, slow broadband creates mortifying meetings.
It keeps freezing in meetings. It's so embarrassing.
Give humiliation the heave-ho with NBI's reliable high-speed fibre broadband network. It's available across the country right now, so don't delay. Check your aircode at nbi.ie.
NBI is delivering the government's national broadband plan.
Oh, could you imagine dropping out of meetings? No, I couldn't. It's awful.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
And the time on Highland Radio, 18 minutes past 1 o'clock. Now, as we know, there was a global IT outage on Friday last, and a number of sectors were discussed. And one of the sectors that was discussed was the holiday sector. And we know that some tour operators were badly hit. And I have a family member who's in the travel business, and I know they had a number of situations to deal with. And a lot of the time when we hear about these issues, we think in terms of people who are about to travel and how they are being affected. And sometimes our focus can be on, if someone was supposed to catch a flight today and go on their holidays, how are they going to be affected? However, there is another side of that coin. And that side of the coin is, what about people who are on their holidays and are due to come home and can't? And that's exactly what happened. 3 friends who had gone to Greece on a post-Leaving Cert holiday and were joined by 2 of the girls and by one of their dads as well. First of all, going to go to Zoe. Zoe, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Zoe, you went to Greece with some friends. You'd flown from Belfast. You'd booked the holiday with TUI. However, when you tried to get home on Friday, tell us what happened.
Yeah, so we went to the airport on Friday, and the queues were mental, and we had to wait 2 hours to try and put our suitcases under the airplane. And whenever we finally done this, we went through to the duty free, and we looked at the screen and it told us to go to gate 1, and we were all so confused because it was very early before our flight. So we went to passport control, and then we went to gate 1, but there was another flight in there, and we couldn't find anybody else to ask. So we had to ask the other passengers that were standing around, and they said the screens weren't updating for hours, and they just weren't helping us at all. And
Were there any TUI reps in the airport at the time?
No, there was no TUI reps, and there was the only workers we could see was the ones working in the food places, and they didn't know anything either. So we were just standing with no help.
Now we're joined on line 2 by Mickey, Zoe's dad. And Mickey, I suppose Zoe is 18, she's an adult, but when you're a dad and you know your daughter's in trouble someplace else, she's not an adult as far as you're concerned. She's a child who needs your help.
Definitely, Greg. Our daughter, she's only turned 18. It was the first holiday away without parents and stuff like that. It was a constant worry prior to go. And then when you knew you were coming home that day, you thought everything was going to sort of run smooth, if you know what I mean. And next thing you get the word then is they're not coming back. And then there's no notion of when anything was going to be set up for them to come back. No communication from TUI on their side whatsoever. I actually phoned them there on Friday night when flight was delayed.
Yeah.
They found out can they get accommodation because they didn't know when the next flight was going to get out of there. And the two rep I was speaking to was just very, very cheeky, ignorant. They go, there's no accommodation available for them. I was thinking, right, no accommodation. It's their responsibility. They look after their customers, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I was chatting to the woman from TUI, and she goes, there's no accommodation. I thought, right, no bar. And I go, can you not sort accommodation or whatever? And they go, there's no accommodation. They have to find their own accommodation. I said, oh, right, can you not do it? No, I mean, you just have to look after them.
Yeah.
Next thing, there's no accommodation. I don't have time for this, and just hung up the phone. You know, so it was just mayhem.
So, I mean, my understanding is that Zoe finally got back to home on Monday at about 12 noon. So how
Yeah.
did Zoe, going back to yourself, how did you actually spend the weekend? What did you do between Friday and Monday?
We stood in passport control for 13 hours, and we didn't know what to do. We were all panicking because we were by ourselves with no adults with us to help us. So we were asking all the passengers. We finally got through to get our luggage then, and we went up to the rep. We got completely ignored, and my friend has diabetes, which he wasn't allowed to stand in long queues, which we informed the reps, and they just said, we don't have time, you're going to have to wait. So we had to wait anyways, even with a medical cert. We went up to the desk then, after one of the reps said they don't have time, and was skipping us going to the adults. We think it's because we were younger, and then whenever we went up, I said, oh, we need a fridge, we need accommodation because of Ellen's diabetes. And she laughed in my face and goes, what do you want us to do about it? Find your own accommodation. And I said, I don't know how to because my mom and daddy helped me book the whole holiday. And she goes, well, you have your own phone in your hand, go do it yourself. And she was saying about, we're wasting her time, and she slapped the table, stood up and goes, you know what, I'm not even dealing with you. And she left us standing in the airport.
And you personally also had shall we say, a sanitary issue that you had to deal with, and you found yourself without the requisites and had to ask people for help in that regard. And I'm sure that was very embarrassing.
Aye, that was embarrassing. There was no all the workers. I had to ask 6 times, could I leave passport control? And I finally got out then, and the airport was like, no, we don't even do them here. So I had to ask everybody else then.
And I'm sure that isn't something you want to do because you would have expected to have been home at that point in time. So did you end up sleeping in the airport, or did you manage to get a hotel for Saturday and Sunday?
No, we had to sleep on the airport floor on the Friday, and then in the morning it was freezing cold, the floor. And Ellen, the one with diabetes, she woke up in the morning with swollen ankles, and whenever you touched them, they'd stay dented, and she had to go to the emergency room. And she had to go to doctors whenever she was back and everything. Yeah. And they said it could be from stress and everything from the airport, because they left her on the floor. And her blood sugars were gone all weird and all because she couldn't change her pump because they didn't give us accommodation.
Also joined on the line by Holly. Holly, good morning.
Good morning.
Holly, I mean, the stories we're hearing from Zoe and from her dad, Mickey, I mean, they're stories we've heard from others, and they echo your experience as well.
Yeah.
Tell us your story.
Well, overall, I just think it was a horrible experience. And for the three of us to be only just turned 18, our first flight out in a different country without our parents is just horrible. And then I remember asking one of the 2A reps, I was like, so you're just going to put us out in the street? I was at 18 years old, not knowing what to do. And she was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do. And you can't expect 3 18-year-olds to know where they're going in a city that we didn't even stay in for that week.
So, I mean, in terms of, we know that one of your friends had to go to the emergency room because of the issue with the ankle, which I take it is directly linked to her diabetes. I mean, you're now into Saturday. You're not home until Monday, so you've still got effectively 48 hours from Saturday to try and actually get yourself home. I mean, talk us through the actual steps that led to you eventually getting home? How did you get the flight? And did TUI finally come through and actually help you, or did you have to help yourself the whole way along?
We had to help ourselves along. If it wasn't, like, we got meal vouchers for inside, but our friend Ellen, she is also celiac, and we informed them of that, but they didn't care. Like, she could have had Burger King on past security, but on the Saturday, like, we weren't allowed past security, so she, like, didn't eat the whole time because she couldn't. There was nothing for her.
So effectively what happened was you had gone through passport control, you'd gone into the actual departures lounge itself, you were at the gate, but you were at the gate for a flight that wasn't leaving. So TUI weren't informing the airport then that the flight was cancelled, so you should have been allowed back into the main departures area or the main airport. So you were actually stuck flight side, as it were, with no flight.
Yeah, we were told on the Friday, we had, like, our parents contacted Belfast Airport, and then they informed us that the flight was cancelled, except for the screens in Corfu Airport was just telling us it was delayed, and that there was, like, all the other flights had a time next to them, delayed until, say, 1 o'clock, but ours just continued to say delayed because they had no idea when the plane was coming.
I want to go back to Mickey, because Mickey, I was talking to a friend of mine last night who had another incident with a relative who got stuck trying to fly out with TUI that was linked with this, and she was saying that there was no information to the extent that she knew the flight was cancelled by ringing the destination airport and being told by them that it was cancelled, when her friend, who was in another airport waiting to fly out, was still seeing delayed on the screen and still expected to get out. So it appears that one of the problems here with TUI, and one of the key problems here, is communication. And TUI aren't communicating with their own people, they're not communicating with their clients and their customers, and they don't even appear to be communicating with the airports they're flying into and out of.
It's crazy as well, even when I phoned TUI as well, because they've only turned over 18 as well. They wouldn't give me the information of what was sort of happening, because it's none of my business. They're adults now, if you know what I mean. And so I was just really communicating with Zoe over and back, phoning what's going on, and there was no communication. As I said, I was speaking to one of the reps, and she was just very cheeky, and she just hung up the phone with me and stuff like that there then. But even on Saturday morning, they weren't actually told, right, you aren't flying until almost about 3 o'clock, right, you aren't leaving. No, it was about 1 o'clock, sorry. You aren't there are no flights, you aren't leaving today or whatever. So they're just bundled out onto the street, and my wife, she went on booking.com or whatever, and she got them an apartment. You know, it was about 15, 20 minutes outside at our own expense. You know what I mean? TUI didn't even, like, that's what the TUI reps and all says, look, everything that you pay for now, that you have to keep your receipts and then you have to claim it back. You know, but what happened if there's parents there but didn't have the money? You know what I mean? Like, their children would have been stuck there, and they would have been stuck in the airport the fall weekend. So they went out into the apartment then, but they still had to come put out of the apartment then, 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
But no information, are they getting a flight today or they're not? Had to come back in, go through the whole procedure, going through all passports and everything, control, to get back into the airport. And they had to sit there, I think it was another 12 hours before they were told anything. And the flight was meant to be at 11 at night, and then it didn't go until 5 that morning. Yeah. You know, it's ridiculous. The whole scenario was. I know with Microsoft thing being down and stuff like that there, but it doesn't put your whole verbal communication down, if you know what I mean.
I want to read a statement. We've had a statement from TUI, and this is the statement that TUI have sent us. Now, they haven't, Caroline, put questions to them specifically about your case and the case of Zoe Ellen and Holly. Now, they haven't answered specific questions, saying we will not answer specific customer questions, but we'll share this statement. The statement reads, we would like to apologise to our customers who were impacted by the global IT outage that resulted in some delays and cancellations. Whilst the original IT issue was outside of our control, the impact alongside air traffic control restrictions over the weekend meant we had to cancel some flights and delay some return flights home. We understand how frustrating this would have been and recognise that many of these delays happened when our customers were already at the airport. We would like to assure customers if they're currently overseas, our TUI team will look after them and flights home will be provided. We will continue to update customers with more information and confirm that if a return flight time has changed, we will contact them directly 24 hours before departure. We thank our customers for their understanding and continued patience. Now, that's the statement that they've told us. Now, we understand also that TUI are providing refunds to anyone that had out-of-pocket costs, and they'll be giving vouchers off future TUI holidays as recompense. Have you any guarantee from TUI, for instance, that the cost of that apartment is going to be covered, that the cost of meals the girls had to eat on the Saturday and Sunday is going to be covered, that the cost of the emergency department visit is going to be covered? What guarantees have you from TUI? What indications have you from them that they will cover those costs?
The only thing, like, how can you take the word? Because on their terms and conditions, they look after their customers in the first place, of providing accommodation, food, and so on, the drink and stuff like that there. And I think it was 26 hours later, Zoe and all got a food voucher and the airport. You know what I mean? And they didn't provide any accommodation. So how can you go on their word? Yeah. And the way they're putting it as well, sorry, there's some delays and some cancellations. That sounded like they're delayed for 2 hours. There's no communication whatsoever. They were 36 hours stuck in an airport. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, bar the Saturday, they got out for a couple of hours to go to rest in an apartment, like. You know, so I think they're just sort of bluffing it really by saying blaming the outage. It's the fact that their team and their staff, just the way they treated the young adults, they're treating them like babies, and they wouldn't speak to them and stuff like that. There, that's more I'm sort of angry about, like, you know.
Yeah. Zoe, I want to give the final word to yourself. How do you feel now in terms of future holidays? I mean, will you and the girls go on a holiday together again? I mean, I know very many people, when they're in school or college, they go on friends' holidays again and again and again. I mean, can you foresee the three of you or other friends going off together again in the future?
I'd love to go on holidays again with the girls, yeah, but the way, definitely, I don't know about TUI anymore, because they kept telling us whenever you book, oh, we're here to help, but we were pure terrified and everything, and the help wasn't there. They were pure cheeky, shouting at us like it was our fault. We didn't care about, we didn't mind about waiting, but it wouldn't have been that bad if they were actually stuck to their word and told us that they will help us and tell us what is happening.
Well, look, Zoe and Holly, thanks indeed for speaking to us. Mickey, thank you for speaking to us as well. Keep in touch with us, Mickey, and let us know if you do what the follow-up, and because we would be interested in this, what will the follow-up from TUI be in terms of recompense for the accommodation costs, recompense for the other expenses?
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong, when Zoe landed back yesterday, we would just know, because they did book it through the TUI shop there up in Derry, and we went up and we were speaking to a lovely lady up there, and she was gobsmacked the way that they were treated.
Yeah.
And she goes, they do a good job up there. They try and keep everyone happy. That's not on for them to send people on a flight and then be treated like that there. She was disgusted.
Yeah.
And she told us to follow it up straight away, like, you know what I mean? So I'll definitely get back in and let you know how we get on with it. Like.
And listen, the other question, Zoe and Holly, before I let you go, it would be remiss of me not to ask your friend Ellen that has diabetes and ended up in the ED. How is she?
Okay now, but
yeah, but not a nice experience, certainly at the end of a holiday.
no, she's very embarrassed and humiliated.
Yeah. Well, look,
was more the fact for Ellen as well that her medical condition was publicised because the previous staff was being that cheeky and ignorant that she had a sort of shout and saying, I need refrigerated stuff for my medication and stuff like that. No one else in the airport should know someone's medical or disabilities, like, you know what I mean?
Well, hopefully there will be lessons learned from this, and it seems certainly lessons do need to be learned, both in the airport and within the company itself. Listen, folks, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us today. And I say, do keep in touch and let us know how things go. But for the moment,
problem, God bless.
Zoe, Mickey, Holly, thank you very much indeed, all three of you, for speaking to us this morning.
Okay, good.
Right, well, that's the experience of Zoe, Holly and Ellen when they went on holiday in Greece and they were trying to get home. And I know a lot of people will have had experiences on Friday in both directions as a result of that outage. If you're one of those that had experiences, let us know what your experience was. And if you're in the process of trying to sort out either compensation or recompense for out-of-pocket expenses and so on, get in touch and tell us how things are going, and we'll be keeping an eye on this one over the course of the coming weeks. Right now, we'll take a break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
I'm through with playing.
The blockbuster production of Wicked returns to the Bordgash Energy Theatre Dublin. Winner of over 100 Golden Globes and 10 Tony Awards, ranked in the West End's top 10 longest running musicals of all time, and a show that has been seen by 65 million people worldwide. Join Highland Radio Friday 9th of August as we take part in the magic. Call us today at 07491 25000 or book your place through the outlet at highlandradio.com.
Experience total relaxation in the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel, Bundoran. Recently awarded Best Hotel Spa Getaway at the RSVP Spa Awards. Enjoy luxury spa baths, revitalising facials, rejuvenating massages, pampering body treatments, outdoor hot tub and tranquil Japanese garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the Spa at Orchids transport you to another world. See holyroodhotel.com.
House to Home Bridgend, Donegal. Our modest front door opens onto 2 floors of Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining and occasional furniture. Step into our showroom and see how we can transform your house into a home. House to Home furniture, flooring, slide robes and interiors, Bridgend, Donegal.
McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tile Showroom in Buncrana is your one-stop solution for all your bathroom plumbing and tile needs. We offer a wide range of top quality plumbing fixtures, tiles and accessories, all at the best possible price. Our experienced plumbing experts will help you choose the right products for your bathroom, renovation, new construction or remodelling project. Visit McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tiles in Buncrana and see why we are the best choice for all your bathroom and plumbing and tile needs.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Some of your comments. Kamala Harris must be of Irish descent from her father's side, as many Irish were sent to the Caribbean as slaves, but she has never acknowledged this. The caller says for 60 years, a party of councillors went up through the north to see what effect bypasses have on towns. Ballybofey-Stranraer was one of the towns in question. It's still being planned. Now, the Ballybofey-Stranraer bypass is now part of the much-vaunted 10T project. Now, we understand the 10T project is due to go before Cabinet very, very shortly. It may even happen this week, and if it gets approval, then it can move on to the next stage, and that we assume will an amount of funding for things like compulsory purchase and advanced planning and so on and so forth. So it's hoped that there'll be movement on the Stranraer Ballybofey bypass, the Twin Towns bypass, much awaited. Now, I was chatting on the show last year to Councillor Patrick McGowan, who's been a member of Donegal County Council now for quite a few years, and I reminded him that I recall a debate in the council chamber earlier on this century, and I was talking to I was covering a meeting with Donegal County Council, and Councillor McGowan was there, and he was speaking passionately about the plan for the Twin Towns bypass and its need. And I remember him make a statement, and I will quote you directly. He said, "Here, look, the way this is being delayed, we mightn't see the Twin Towns bypass until as late as 2010. Which I think says everything that needs to be said about where we are with the Twin Towns bypass. Hopefully an announcement on the 10T is due sooner rather than later, and hopefully we will see progress on the Twin Towns bypass. I've been working here on Highland Radio for the guts of 34 years. And as far as I recall, the Twin Towns bypass was on the agenda in my first week, and I'm here 34 years, and this debate is older than I am. Now, we were speaking about Kamala Harris and her lineage, and I want to go to Sharon McManaman, who is joining us on the line. Sharon, good morning to you.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
I'm very well indeed, Sharon. Great to talk to you. Sharon, you have dual Irish US citizenship, and you are a Democratic supporter. You're happy the way things have panned out over the past couple of days?
Oh, very much so. It's a bit late, but I'm glad that Joe Biden has stepped aside. His candidacy was just looking less and less viable as the days progressed. But I'm very happy also with response within the Democratic Party. It was great to see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez come on board and support Kamala. People are coming out of the woodwork and seem to be excited and enthused. I was texting with a friend of mine in Philadelphia yesterday, and he said the energy is up. He's hoping they can hang on to it until November, but that energy is definitely been brought up to voters for their choice now.
There had been some concern yesterday that not everyone was coming out to express support for Kamala Harris. Now, Nancy Pelosi's name mentioned, Barack Obama's name mentioned. Now, we know Nancy Pelosi has subsequently come out and given her full
Yes.
backing to Kamala Harris.
Yes.
How important is it that President Obama does the same?
Well, I mean, at this stage, it's another voice would be another voice in the chorus. I don't know what's transpiring there behind the scenes or what their personal relationship is like, but I think it's only a matter of time before he comes out in support, unless he is looking for it to be more of a horse race at the convention itself. But she's already been collecting delegates from Joe Biden. I don't know what the number is now as we speak.
We understand from news bulletins this morning that she does have enough delegates now for the nomination, and perhaps more importantly, as well as collecting delegates over the course of 24 hours, we also understand that she collected $80 million in campaign funding. And let's be honest, when it comes to US presidential elections, collecting dollars for campaign funding is absolutely crucial.
Oh, it's essential. Sadly, money is U.S. politics are awash in money, and with the Supreme Court decision a few years ago, it's not likely to change anytime soon. But as soon as her candidacy her nomination was announced, the phones rang off the hook, as they say, and the money started flowing in and continues to do so. So people are very much getting behind her. There's actually quite a bit of donations from just smaller donation, lots of people, which is also another good indication of the viability of her candidacy. And I'm sure that this is, loosening the purse strings for a lot of big donors who were holding back on their support because they weren't happy with Biden continuing on ahead to seek a second term.
There are some suggestions that Kamala Harris's approval rating as vice president wasn't as high as she would like it to be, and that she is still going to be closely associated with Biden and the Biden presidency and any problems that people perceive arising from the Biden presidency. Are they hindrances that are going to block her, or do you believe that she can hit this campaign with a fresh impetus and with enough of a distinction between herself and Joe Biden for her to be able to say, I'm something new, I'm something fresh?
Well, we're seeing her now in a way that we haven't seen her over the course of the last 4 years. Hers has been a rather quiet vice presidency. She's also still vice president.
Yes.
I think there's an idea people have that Joe Biden has resigned. That's not the case. He's president for the next 6 months, as she is vice president for the next 6 months. So it's still going to be his policy, but I'd imagine that she would have a wee bit more influence now as the candidate for the Democratic ticket.
The perception is that Donald Trump would much rather have taken on Joe Biden in a campaign than take on someone like Kamala Harris.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if
Do you believe she can make
out there.
Can she make a credible case against Donald Trump over the course of the coming months? Because the perception is, rightly or wrongly, that Trump is in the ascendancy now. As I said earlier during the newspaper review, take nothing for granted this far out, because, I mean, when you were 4 or 5 months out from the US presidential election in 2019, nobody gave any real hope to Donald. Well, very few people gave any real hope to Donald Trump, and the assurance was, and the perception was, that all Hillary Clinton had to do was turn up and she had it won. That did not pan out the way people expected. Now people, it's the other way around. People expect Trump to triumph and don't believe that Kamala Harris will have what it takes to overtake him in the course of the next 5 months or so. You believe people who think that could be thinking very inaccurately?
I've got to say, I don't agree. I think that she has brought fresh energy to the campaign already. The way people are coalescing behind her and throwing in their support, the response that she's had amongst even the more progressive elements in the party, it all gives me hope. And I personally don't understand whatsoever and find it hard to wrap my head around why anyone would throw their support behind Trump. He is incompetent. And the bit of energy that he might have had versus Biden in that disastrous debate, he's now on the back foot. He's now the old guy in the campaign who's got cognitive issues. And Kamala Harris certainly is not. It'll be interesting to see if there will be another debate, because I think she'd wipe the floor with him, quite frankly.
The question now becomes, how will Kamala Harris do in the swing states? We know she'll take California. We know she'll take New York. We know she'll take the blue states.
Right.
We know Trump will take
Absolutely.
the red states. It's going to come down to whether it's 10 swing states, whether it's 5, whether it's even 4 swing states. Places like Pennsylvania, places like Kentucky. Can Kamala Harris take those? Because we know she'll take the blue states. That isn't the issue. Her challenge now is to go to places like Pennsylvania, go to places like Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's where she's got to make an impact.
Well, it's funny that you should mention specifically Pennsylvania and Kentucky, because possible vice presidential candidates are from those two states.
And that is not a coincidence.
Andy Beshear. No, it's not. And we already saw yesterday in a viral moment, Andy Beshear from Kentucky coming out swinging and essentially auditioning for the role. And then we also have Shapiro in Pennsylvania, who is being touted as a possible vice presidential candidate. And also Midwestern boy and Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg that name's been floated around as a possible candidate.
Caller says, I cannot wait for Kamala Harris to call out Trump as a misogynist, fraudster and convicted felon. It'll be so much more convincing and powerful than if Joe Biden had done so, especially coming from an eloquent woman from a minority grouping. This will eventually trump Donald. That's a comment from one of our callers.
I'm with that caller 100%, because it's interesting. He's been convicted of federal counts, 34 of them, and she was an attorney general. She was a prosecutor in the state of California. I actually don't agree with some of her history there, shall we say, but I am excited about the prospect of there being a first female president of the United States. It's been long overdue. But I have been seeing a fair amount of misogyny online now that the candidate is a woman and a woman of color. There's still a lot of that, even no matter what the political leanings are. I've seen that in lefty circles as well.
Sharon McMenamin, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us today. I'm sure we'll be in touch over the course of the coming weeks and months as the campaign winds on. But for now, Sharon, thank you. And may you have many, and I suspect you will have many late nights watching American TV over the course of the next few weeks as this campaign unfolds. Sharon, thank you.
I'm trying to limit it because I need my
the closer it gets, the more you'll succumb, I strongly suspect.
Oh, yeah, this is true. Thank you, Donal.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, you take care. Bye-bye now.
Looking to advance your career? At Atlantic Technological University, we can help you. Choose from over 370 online and part-time courses across Donegal, Sligo, Galway and Mayo. Build accredited qualifications in science, health, engineering, computing, business, education, design and more. From short courses to masters, study in a supportive learning environment designed to suit you. Apply now at atu.ie/flexible learning. ATU. Embark on your learning journey your way.
Atlantic Travel. Bonded, licensed and trusted in Ireland. Expert advice on your world adventure. Search for sun, cities or a last-minute escape to sandy shores. Get away this summer with tantalising offers, luxury resorts and family favourites. Free kids places still available. The offers won't last forever, but the memories will. Book now with a trusted travel agent. Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny.
Is that the new Opel?
Yes, of course.
Does it really look that good?
Yes, of course.
Is it fun to drive?
Yes, of course.
Is it packed with smart tech?
Yes, of course.
Can I test drive it right now at Heron Auto Opel?
Yes, of course.
The new Opel Corsa, now available. See heronopel.ie for details.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. Support a local Donegal business with McElhinney's. From fashion to home essentials, find everything you need for any occasion. Shop McElhinney's Ballybuffet for quality you can trust.
And looking at the weather forecast for Met Éireann, and Met Éireann are telling us that we can expect a reasonably dry day today, which is very good news indeed. Any early mist or fog patches will have cleared, leaving a largely dry day with a mix of cloud and sunshine. Top temperatures 18 to 22 degrees Celsius in generally light and variable winds. Tonight mostly cloudy, a chance of some spots of rain or drizzle moving in by dawn tomorrow. Fairly mild and humid tonight, lows of 11 to 14. Light to moderate southerly breezes. Tomorrow mostly cloudy, rather humid on Wednesday. Some patchy rain or drizzle with mist in coastal areas and hills. Top temperatures tomorrow 18 to 22. Right, that's your weather forecast for tomorrow. Now, Donegal County Council had one of its first plenary meetings since the new council was elected. We know that there's a lot of change in Lifford, one of the changes being the election of 4 members of the 100% Redress Party, and that was very much in evidence in the chamber yesterday with a motion of no confidence in the Housing Minister, Dara O'Brien, moved by Councillor Thomas Sean Devine of that party. Delighted to say he joins us in studio. Thomas, good morning.
Morning, Donal, how are you?
Very well indeed. Your first motion on Donegal County Council was to move that no confidence motion in the Housing Minister. It was accepted with your own party colleagues, obviously. Sinn Féin supported you, as did, I think, all the independents, with the exception of the Gaelic Councillor Kennedy. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael sought to have that motion deferred. You're happy with the way that debate went?
Oh, definitely, Donal. And we're sad that these motions has to be brought. They start off with, because we shouldn't be in the situation that the people's in, to be honest. It's heartbreaking this last number of weeks, the amount of homes that I've visited here where they're living with black mould, people living with COPD, mushrooms growing out of their presses with the mould's been that black. It's unhealthy homes. And for the Housing Minister, he's involved in one of the biggest housing crises probably hit this country in decades. We had left with no choice when we passed look for a motion.
The argument from Councillor Brogan, articulated on behalf of Fianna Fáil, Councillor Kavanagh, backed it as well for Fine Gael. The argument was that Minister O'Brien is coming to Donegal in the coming weeks. Donegal County Council members, including yourselves, I'm sure, will be seeking to meet with him to lobby to have the scheme changed, lobby to have the IS 465 overturned and have new protocols brought in that recognise pyrrhotite and other deleterious materials as causes of defective blocks. There'll be a lot of people meeting the Minister and seeking to meet the Minister to effect change. And their argument was, is it really great to say just weeks before he comes, oh, by the way, we have no confidence in you?
Donal, he's coming as 4 years. He hasn't come. There's no guarantee he is coming. There's only speculation he's coming. They say that there was 30,000 people marching in Dublin and told him they have no confidence in him, a couple of years ago. He's not. We have the Dutch report coming out here the last couple of weeks. They're revealing that you couldn't have confidence in him. There's no, and in fairness to the Fianna Fáil party and Fine Gael party, standing by their man or whatever, it's not a case this was a popularity thing. Yes, they're looking for popularity and that a vote of no confidence in Dara O'Brien. They couldn't have any confidence in him, you know what I mean? It's heartbreaking. They think that some of the councillors, yes, not all independent councillors voted with it or voted against it. Some of them abstained. And some of these councillors' homes is crumbling, and I can't understand it for the love of God. But the argument that Fianna Fáil was putting across yesterday, that when he comes, that there's no guarantee he's coming.
Yeah.
And if the talk of he does come, he's coming in August when the council chamber's closed. Most councillors are away on holidays, timing. He hasn't come in 4 years, and if he is coming couple of months out probably from a general election. Like, you know.
Yeah. Now, for the record, just for the listeners, I'll explain very briefly what actually happened yesterday.
Yeah.
You moved your original motion, which was that this council has no confidence in Minister Darragh O'Brien.
Yeah.
Councillor Brogan moved a counter motion, which was that this motion should be deferred until after the minister visits. So that was a counter motion. The way standing orders go is the counter motion is taken first. So the actual vote yesterday was a vote on that this council defer a vote of no confidence in the minister until after he visits Donegal. That counter motion fell, which meant your motion was automatically passed.
Yes.
So there wasn't specifically a debate on your motions. Just to say that, just for the for the clarity and the correctness of it, it was 1811 against. If I recall the figures correctly, it was 1811 against that counter motion. So your motion passed by default as the decision of council. It was and I covered that meeting yesterday. I went to Lifford after the show and covered that meeting, and it was interesting. I'd say at least 50 to 60% of the discussion all afternoon was on the defective block issue. There was a couple of motions. Yourself and your colleagues had motions in, Councillor Beard and Councillor McGee had motions in. Councillor McBurty had a motion in as well. Councillor McDermott had a motion in. Councillor McMonigal had a motion in. There were several motions on the whole issue of defective blocks. You and your colleagues, Ali Farron, Joy Beard and Dennis McGee made the commitment when you were elected that you were going to shake things up on Donegal County Council and you were going to bring a very clear and very distinct message. The evidence from yesterday would suggest you're following through on that promise.
When I went to people's doors, I told them, I'd tell them that we would fight our darn hardest. There's things we'll get wrong, there's things we're going to get right, but we'll do our darn hardest, and I'm not going to go back on my word. And that's the way the motion was brought forward yesterday, because it was talking to people on the doors, talking to people that was involved in my campaign, and nobody had any confidence in Darragh Breen. Nobody's any confidence in the government. I don't, and as fairness to say, I think people can't wait till there's a general election to see if we can get a change of government, to see if we can get things moved on that long faster. But as I say, I have to stand by the people. Like, the people elected me. Some things I won't be very popular in doing, and some things that we will. But as I say, we're there to fight for the people. We're ordinary people. We're ordinary people that live in a nightmare every day of the week. And, you know, and some of the things was brought up yesterday about water and whatever. Like, that estate of mine, I'm fighting for water in the last 10 years. Like, and we're still fighting. We're still no further forward, you know. And we have to keep fighting for people. People want a change, and I'm hoping the Redress Party can help make that change.
The campaign is over. The work has now kicked in, and you've had your first full plenary. You've had your first full municipal district meeting. What's your perception now, and how different is actually being on council and dealing with the officials and dealing with your fellow councillors? How different is it to what you thought it might have been before you started on this campaign? I mean, and this is the final question, what is your perception of where you are now, having actually sat through a 6-hour meeting in Lifford, having sat through a 3-hour meeting in Letterkenny?
Well, to be quite honest, it is different from what I thought it was going to be honest. Now, my hope is that we're going to, I'm prepared to work with every councillor to get as much as we can get done and push things on with government, push things on, whatever. And that's with every party, every individual. I'm not making any exceptions with anybody else. Work with everybody. And that's the same with all my party colleagues. Yesterday now, it's an eye-opener. There's no question about it. We have a lot of learning to do very, very fast. Like this, we're new to this, you know. Most of the people we're dealing with, seasoned politicians that's been there 10 years or more. We have to learn very, very fast. Donal, like, and as I say, we're learning very, very fast. But as I say, we're there to work for the people. We're ordinary people at the end of the day, just there to do the best we can.
But certainly, as I said, on the evidence of the contributions made by yourself and your colleagues yesterday, you certainly are making an impact. And it was telling that there was so much discussion on the defective block issue in the chamber yesterday. Councillor Thomas Sean Devine, for the moment, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us.
Thank you, Donal.
We will be keeping in touch, obviously, over the course of another housing meeting to
just
attend
today. Offer today again.
Absolutely, So, as I say, we'll keep in touch. But for now, Thomas, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Donal.
We're going to take a short break. News and obituaries with Michaela coming up.
For new perspectives and a fresh vision, join me, Greg Hughes, on the 9 till noon show every Thursday at 10:15 for your voice, your community.
Is fúine atá sé leictreachas a úsáid bhealach níos cliste agus níos glise. Ag Electric Ireland, táimeann seach an tróir a thuirteart. Le faisnéis fleanan na méidir cliste, tálaí EV agus panéil ghréine in our net zero hub nua. Déan dúsáid níos soléire, turais níos glise, baile níos teolaí, agus saol níos giile. Tilla Olash ag electricireland.ie.
An lá sira is far riamh. Ein tailach a bháin, seaca nóméid ón Malia. Céad acra de Gardini ália. Cera cheist faoi anam na ground. Truc a nóméid don picnic heilig. Seacht slán an isce in séite. Sé flesht builig. Cúig dé gáire críúil. Ein lá dó chredta a bháin. Agrig an lá sira is far a bheith a gut riamh ag discoverireland.ie agus buintanamh sira in ein lá a bháin. A chur fáil ag fáilte Ireland.
Running a business isn't easy, but accessing support should be. The new National Enterprise Hub is the single source for all government support for your business. With over 180 supports in one place, it's easier than ever to find grants, advice, training, and more. And don't worry about not knowing what you need. Our helpful team will guide you every step of the way. Visit neh.gov.ie to learn how we can help. The National Enterprise Hub. Support starts here, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Happy birthday to Applegreen.
Applegreen's birthday is Wednesday the 24th of July and they've gotten us all a present.
Unreal deals.
100% Irish chicken filler rolls, only $2.47.
Outrageous.
Breakfast rolls, only $2.47.
Outstanding, John.
Thanks, John. A car wash, only $2.47.
My cars stink from tipping on the back roads.
Well, tip into your nearest Applegreen on Wednesday the 24th of July for great deals on snacks, chocolates, drinks and 100% Irish chicken rolls.
Outrageous.
Applegreen's birthday the 24th of July. Call in for unreal deals.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. A diver has died in an incident off the northwest coast of Donegal. The man got into difficulty off Tory Island yesterday afternoon. Andrew Lyth reports.
The Malin Coast Guard was first notified at around 8 minutes past 1 yesterday afternoon of a man in difficulty off the coast of Donegal. It's understood the man, aged in his 50s, was diving around the time around 19 miles off Tory Island. The Malin Coast Guard was deployed and removed the man from the water. He was brought on board the lifeboat and then airlifted to Letterkenny University Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Gardaí were notified of the incident and have confirmed that a file is now being prepared for the coroner's court.
Donegal County Council is to go to public consultation on a proposal to reduce speed limits in a number of areas. A draft document has been produced by the council proposing a number of changes, including reductions from 80 to 60 km per hour in some areas. The reduction of limits from 50 to 30 km per hour in a number of housing estates is also included. Members agreed to go ahead with the consultation. However, several warned that changing speed limits will not in itself resolve road safety issues. Among them was Councillor Declan Meehan.
The reality is that we know that there are a multitude of factors that are causing road traffic accidents and collisions, and it's all very well and good to, suggest and plan to lower the speed limits wholesale across the country and across the county. But in reality, what we need is enforcement, and what we need is better safety, road safety measures and traffic calming measures in our towns and villages.
The union representing Aer Lingus pilots is due to announce the results of a ballot this morning aimed at ending a bitter pay row with the airline. IALPA had recommended members accept a Labour Court proposal for a 17.75 pay rise at the airline. Aer Lingus says it will accept the deal, which also sees changes to leave arrangements during summer months. Employment law professor at Maynooth University, Michael Doherty, says it can't be assumed that it will be accepted by pilots.
When the deal was announced, and it was particularly when it was recommended by the union executive, we all thought, okay, well, this is the end of it, or that was the perception certainly out there. But we have had situations before where unions have recommended deals to their members, and the members have not accepted them. So it's not a done deal just yet.
9 people have been arrested in connection with the Dublin riots last year. It follows a number of early morning raids. Tara Dugan has more.
10 searches were carried out earlier today by Gardaí at Store Street as part of the investigation into the violence that erupted in Dublin city centre on November 23rd last year. 8 men and 1 woman have been detained following this morning's raids at a number of locations across the city. They're being held at Garda stations in the Dublin metropolitan region and can be questioned for up to 24 hours. It brings the total number of people arrested as part of the case to 49. Gardaí are continuing to appeal to anyone with information about the events on that day that saw shops looted, Gardaí injured and buses and a Lewis set alight to come forward.
Remedial works are to commence on Errigal Mountain this week. The path up the mountain was badly damaged during heavy rain in May. The contractor carrying out the works is expected to be on site from tomorrow, with the works due to last for a number of weeks. The car park at the attraction will be cordoned off to facilitate the storage of materials and plant machinery. People travelling to the mountain are advised that there will be limited car parking space. Weather now largely dry today with a mix of cloud and sunshine. Highest temperatures of 18 to 22 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website at highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notice says for this Tuesday morning, July the 23rd. The death has taken place of James Anthony Calhoun, Carmore, Malin. James Anthony's remains are now reposing at his home. Funeral from there at 10:20 on Thursday morning for 11 o'clock funeral mass in St Mary's Church, Lag, followed by interment in Lag Graveyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Alzheimer's Association of Ireland, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin, funeral director. Family time from 11 o'clock to 11 o'clock. The death has occurred of Claire Boyce, née O'Donnell, Gort Ree, Newton Cunningham. Claire's remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral mass in All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to Dementia Ireland, care of any family member or Charlie McClafferty, funeral director. The death has occurred of Grace McFadden, Ballybose, Falcara, reposing overnight at St Finian's Church, Falcara. Funeral mass there today at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjacent cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, funeral director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Joanne Doherty, Wynn Park, Glentoher, Carndonagh. Joanne is reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, going to the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with burial in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on carndonaghparish.com. The death has occurred of Thomas Patton, 14 Glebe Hollow, Stranorlar. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral leaving from his home tomorrow morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon. Interment in the adjoining churchyard. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish YouTube channel. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, to the Patients Comfort Fund, St Joseph's Community Hospital, Stranorlar, care of any family member. Family time from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. And the death has taken place of Nancy Freel, née Barrett, the Lag, Milford, reposing at the residence of her daughter Tara Freel, the Lag, Milford. Funeral mass this morning at 11 o'clock in St Peter's Church, Milford. Burial afterwards in Milford Cemetery. Funeral mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time before the funeral this morning. Family flowers only. Donations if desired to RSE Donal Patients Comfort Fund, care of any family member. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. The death will occur of your loved one. They will die tragically in a preventable car crash early next month. Following their death, they will be sadly missed by you along with their extended family and large group of friends. You will each wonder why you never said anything about their behaviour behind the wheel. Chat to your loved ones about their driving today, so you don't lose them tomorrow. A message from the Road Safety Authority.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. You're very welcome to hour 2 of the programme. We'll be going to Sergeant Eugene Walsh very shortly with our Community Garda information slot. That's coming up. after the bingo numbers in there just a few minutes down the road. A few of your comments before we go any further. Caller says, I was in the same situation as the girls with Tui. We were stuck in Corfu after being on a cruise ship. We only got back to Dublin yesterday and 35 people were on the flight. And I know there was an issue with at least one ship. Now, Tui would be closely involved with the Marella Company, which sails out of, I think they sail out of both Corfu and Parma, Majorca as well. And I think Marella is actually owned by TUI, if I'm not mistaken. And I know a number of Marella ships actually couldn't leave passengers off because their IT systems were down as well, and that means people missed their flights. And there was quite a lot of problems in that respect. And our best wishes to anyone who found themselves caught up in those problems. Caller says, I see speed limits in a shown area are to reduced to 60 kilometres an hour. Now, what's happening is Donegal County Council has produced a document which suggests in certain areas that limits will be reduced from 80 down to 60. Now, it's not certainly all 80 kilometre an hour roads, and it's a limited number of roads. It's a draft document that's going to go to public consultation. What Donegal County Council decided to do yesterday was to put that out to public consultation. It basically means that it'll be published very shortly by Donegal County Council, and people will be invited to offer their views, and then people will have the opportunity to go to meetings and contact the council and let the council know what they think about it, and then a decision will be made based on the Chief Executive report, which will follow that public consultation. And indeed, members are encouraging people to take part in that public consultation. A number of members were, shall we say, had questions about elements of the draft proposal, but the decision was made to put it to public consultation, and that consultation will be getting underway in the coming weeks. So that's the situation as it pertains to the issue of the speed limits in Donegal. Caller says, and this is an interesting one because I heard an interesting conspiracy theory last night that people were saying that they felt Joe Biden may be very, very ill or something like that because he wasn't seen. And the caller says, where is Joe Biden? Why doesn't he show himself with all this hoo-ha going on? Even a short video of him would do, giving his reasons for standing down. This is very, very odd. And as I said, I know there is a bit of a conspiracy theory doing the rounds in certain circles at the moment, when suggesting that he may even be he may be very ill or something like that. I'm not sure that's the case, but we'll see if he does come out with a video in the near future. Caller says, why wouldn't Trump take all the businesses back to America? He wants to make America great again. We in Ireland should be doing the same. His policies, such as doctors being stricken off the register if they're giving hormones to children, I completely agree with. I would love somebody to fight for Ireland, like Trump does for the USA. I think he'll stop the Israel and Gaza war, along with Russia versus Ukraine. Trump is a billionaire. He could easily be retired and lounge on a yacht, but instead he is choosing to make America great again. So says one of our callers. Caller says, I've seen other petrol stations doing a promotion of cheap petrol for the day on Wednesday. This needs to stop as it blocks traffic on main roads and is a real traffic hazard. Last year it was done. Gardaí had to be called to stop it. How are these unsafe practices allowed to happen to facilitate a business? Where is the Road Safety Authority? P.S. The time spent in traffic uses more petrol than they save. I'm not aware of this particular one. I do recall the situation you referred to last year, actually, where a petrol station did have a promotion. Now, it's interesting, depending on where you go in Donegal, there are some very good prices to be had if you shop around. And I know certainly within a 30-minute drive of Letterkenny, you can get variations of 10 cent a litre and more in the price of both unleaded and diesel, compared to the prices you'll pay elsewhere. So, I mean, there are bargains out there. There is cheap petrol out there. I'm not going to mention any particular petrol stations or locations, but I mean, there are variations in price out there, and that is absolutely the case. Right, it is 13 minutes past 10 o'clock. As I said, the bingo numbers are coming up, and they're coming up in a moment. So we'll be going then to our Community Garda information slot. But for now, as we said, grab your books, grab your pens, and in just a moment, we'll hand you over to Joe.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday, July 23rd. Playing on a brown sheet. Reference number is S7. It's week 30. Today's numbers are 19, 16, 41, 29, 22, 90, 62, 33, 87, and 69. Phone your claim to 910-4833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number, the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Experience total relaxation in the Spa at Orchids at the Holyrood Hotel, Bundoran. Recently awarded Best Hotel Spa Getaway at the RSVP Spa Awards. Enjoy luxury spa baths, revitalising facials, rejuvenating massages, pampering body treatments, outdoor hot tub and tranquil Japanese garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the Spa at Orchids transport you to another world. See holyroodhotel.com.
Brian McCormick Sports Summer Sale now on. Official Donegal GAA Kids Quarter Zips 20% off. Women's Under Armour save 20%. Up to 50% off football boots from Adidas and Puma. Adidas Messi boots only $39.99. BMC Sports Summer Sale.
Big Band Country Nights continue at Logues of Cranford this Tuesday with Declan Nerney and his band. That's another Big Band Country Night this Tuesday with Declan Nerney at Logues of Cranford, where you'll also find music in the Wee Bar on Saturdays and old-time dancing on Sundays.
The summer sale is now on at Watson Menswear in Letterkenny, with a big range of 2- and 3-piece suits reduced to half price. Also, a selection of blazers and dress shirts, half price. There's 20% off formal footwear and loads of great bargains in casual clothing and footwear in the summer sale now on at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com.
It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. It's a Tuesday morning. It's 16 minutes past 10. Sergeant Ewan Walsh is sitting directly opposite me, which means it's time for this.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025.
Ewan, you're very welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Morning, Donal. Thanks for having me.
And you're welcome as always. Great to see you. Now, we're going to begin with a sad story, and that's the fatal collision that occurred on Wednesday last in Kilmacrennan.
Yes, Donal, we'd like to renew our appeal, and we're appealing for witnesses following the fatal road traffic collision which occurred on the N56 in Kilmacrennan last Wednesday, the 17th of July, at approximately 11:50 p.m. Gardaí and our colleagues in the emergency service were alerted to a collision involving two cars. The driver and passenger in one of the cars unfortunately suffered fatal injuries, both in their 70s. The driver of the second car, a woman aged in her 40s, was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for treatment of serious but fortunately non-life-threatening injuries. So we're appealing for any witnesses to this collision to come forward, any road users who may have had camera footage, including dash cam, and were travelling in the area of Kilmacrennan last Wednesday, the 17th of July, at approximately 11:50 p.m. to make the footage available to Gardaí at Milford. So anybody who has information is to ask to contact Milford Garda Station 07491 53060, or again the confidential line 1-800 666 111, or again any Garda Station. And I'd like to again extend our sympathies to the families of the deceased, Patrick McGettigan and his sister Una.
Moving now to the Christlamore area of Burnfoot.
Yes, Donal, this is a burglary which occurred in the Christlamore area of Burnfoot last Wednesday morning, the 17th of July, at approximately 5:35 a.m. So Tuesday night, Wednesday morning past. A male was observed entering a shed of a property in the area, and an attempt was also made to gain entry to the house. The intruder was disturbed and left in a black car with another male. No damage was caused to the property and nothing was stolen. So we'll appeal to anybody who may have been in the area of Christlamore between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. last Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, the 7th of July. And again, anybody with dash cam to make the footage available to us. And again, to contact Buncrana Garda Station 07493 20540, or again the confidential line 1800 666 111.
Definitely a concerning one. I mean, someone trying to break into a house at that hour of the morning. Presumably, we can assume some people may have been upstairs asleep in the house or whatever.
Yes, would have been disturbed by the occupants. Yes,
and that could have been a very worrying situation indeed. Another burglary, this time in the Muff area.
This is again a burglary at a private residence in the area of Ballyboe, Chure Muff. Again, between Wednesday the 10th of July and Thursday the 18th. Nobody in the house at the time. A family had returned from their holidays, discovered that a number of sheds in the house, adjoining the house, had been broken into, and a quantity of tools stolen. The car at the house was also entered and searched, nothing taken. And again, we're appealing for anybody who may have observed anything suspicious in the area over the course of that week to make the contact with the Gardaí. So that's the week Wednesday the 10th of July to last Thursday the 18th of July in the Ballyboe Chure area of Muff, Donal.
And again, always good to just put out that warning that when you're going on holiday, I mean, take whatever security precautions you can before you go.
Yes, again, the usual things. Don't advertise it on Facebook. You may think that your friends are looking at it, but there may be other friends of friends seeing it. Again, if you're going away, leave a light on at night or timer lights, and let your neighbours know, or have somebody have a key to check in your house. All the normal things, Donal.
Gardaí investigating criminal damage incident. It happened in Dunfanaghy.
Yes, this is a criminal damage incident which occurred at Pound Street, Dunfanaghy, Donal, last Sunday and Monday between 3:30pm Sunday evening the 14th and 1:30pm on Monday the 15th. A car which had been parked at the location was damaged between those times. 3 of the tyres were slashed on the car. And again, anybody with any information that might assist the Gardaí at investigation, to contact the Gardaí at Milford 074 9153 060.
And 2 incidents of criminal damage in the Mal Ramelton.
Yes, this is 2 incidents occurred last Monday night, Tuesday morning, between 7:30pm Monday the 15th and 9:30am Tuesday 16th. A downstairs sitting room of the house was broken. And then again between 6pm on the Monday and 6:30am on the Tuesday, the wipers were broken on 2 vehicles that were parked at a house in the area. And again, we're appealing for anybody who may have been in the area of the Ramelton to contact Gardaí if they have any information. The Ramelton Festival was on at the time, Donal, and would have brought large numbers to the town. So we're hopeful that somebody may have something that might be beneficial to the investigation.
Again, criminal damage in this an incident, I think, that was discussed actually on the programme yesterday.
Yes, this Gardaí investigating the criminal damage incident which occurred at a building site in Milltown Convoy. So this would have been Wednesday night, Thursday morning the 18th, shortly after 4:30am, so a very short time span involved. Gardaí were alerted to the fact that a dump truck was on fire at the location. We were notified by the fire services, and we're appealing for anybody who may have travelled in the area of Milltown Convoy on the morning and who has dashcam to make it available to Gardaí. And again, any information which may be relevant to the crime, pass to Letterkenny 074 91 67 100.
And it has been determined it was arson.
Yes, sorry.
Gardaí are appealing for information regarding criminal damage again. This is in Church Road, Bundoran.
Yes, this is last Saturday night, Sunday morning, so between 8pm on Saturday the 20th and 3pm Sunday afternoon the 21st. A car that was parked at the Church Road area of Bundoran between these hours was damaged. The driver's door was scraped and the boot was keyed. And again, we'd like to hear from anybody who may have observed suspicious activity in the area over the course of the weekend. It would have been a busy time in Bundoran, a lot of people about. So anybody who has any relevant information, contact Gardaí Ballyshannon 071 98 585 30.
And back now to Inishowen for a theft from a car.
Yes, theft from car in the area of Carnamoyle Muff between 11:30pm last Tuesday the 16th and 5:15am Wednesday the 17th. So sometime Tuesday evening, Tuesday night. A Dell laptop was stolen from the boot of a car, and a second car at the property was also entered and searched. Nothing stolen from it. No damage caused to either cars, fortunately. And again, 2 cars at another residence in the area of Carnamoyle Muff were also entered between midnight and 7:30am on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning the 17th. It looks like the cars were searched and unfortunately nothing was stolen. And again, no damage caused. And also 2 cars entered in the area of Cormacan in Burnfoot on the early hours of Wednesday the 17th. Again, it's between midnight on Tuesday night and 5am the 17th. No damage was caused to these cars and nothing stolen from them. So our appeal is to anybody who have travelled in the areas of Carnamoyle Muff, go to Cormac and Burnfoot with a dash cam between the night of Tuesday the 16th and the morning of Wednesday the 17th to make the footage available to Gardaí. Due to the times involved and the close proximity of the locations, it's possible that they're connected, Donal. So anybody observed any suspicious activity between those dates, to make it available, to contact Buncrana Garda Station, please.
And again, security on parked cars, an issue that Gardaí highlight regularly on the programme, and no harm maybe to do so again now?
Yes, I suppose we can, yes. If your car is locked when unattended, regardless of whether you are parking in a public place at home. I think the tendency at home is that you lock your door and you may often leave your car unlocked. That's a recipe for disaster, you know. Try again to park in a lit up area. Store your car keys away from windows and letterbox when parked at your home. And again, don't store cash or valuables in your car. If you must do so in your boot, not in display.
One of the things we've seen Gardaí do more and more is frontline service days, where Gardaí come and speak to the public, and the RSA come and bring their interactive unit as well. And it's coming at the end of this month to Donal.
Yes, next Saturday the 27th at the Mary from Donal Festival, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. There will be a frontline services day where ourselves and our other colleagues from the emergency service will be present. Also, the RSA interactive unit, shuttle we call it, will be there. And it's a great unit. It provides a fantastic opportunity for members of the public to practice your driving and hazard perception skills on the car, motorbike or the simulator. You can experience firsthand the dangers of driving and texting and driver fatigue. Try the brake reaction timer to see how driving environments and speed affect your braking distance, and also learn about tyre safety. Tyres are your only contact with the road when you're in your vehicle. And again, as I said, a range of emergency service will be there on the day. We will also be there to offer crime prevention advice and give property marketing demonstration. So we hope to see as many people as possible there for what will be a great day out for all the family.
And of course, the Mary from Donal Festival taking place as well, so there should be a good crowd of people around about Donal. A big discussion on the programme yesterday about bicycles and e-scooters on footpaths. Now, we know new bylaws came into effect last year, and you can give us maybe just an update as to what the actual rules are and what the laws are in relation to bicycles and e-scooters on footpaths.
I suppose the recent regulations don't apply to e-scooters. We've had it plastered all over our Facebook page. You've shared it for us kindly. We've talked about it on your previously on the Garda slot. So the ignorance of the law, again, is not a defence of the law, but it should be well known. You cannot use your e-scooter on a footpath. You must drive your e-scooter on the road, similar to a vehicle. And you will be liable to receive a fixed charge notice if you were caught driving your e-scooter on a footpath. And the fine is €50.
Yeah.
In relation to bicycles, again, you're not allowed to cycle on a footpath unless there is a designated cycle lane on the footpath, or again, if you are entering or exiting a property, obviously. Cycling on a footpath is not a specific fixed charge notice. However, you could be fined for doing so if your cycling is to be considered without reasonable consideration. So again, you must cycle on the road, not a footpath.
And in terms of, there's plenty of information.
Yes, okay, again,
information and so on.
Yes, anybody who wants the information, it'll be on our Garda Facebook page, but also on the RSA website, www.rsa.ie or citizensinformation.ie. The rules of the road in relation to bikes and e-scooters can be viewed. And again, it's a benefit for all road users to keep up to date with the legislation in relation to bicycles and e-scooters.
A couple of questions from last week that we're going to put to you in, if you don't mind, just to see what answers we have. A caller contacted us to say, my car was damaged while parked in a car park. The driver drove off, leaving me with a large bill. How do I request the CCTV? I was told it can only be requested by the Gardaí.
Well, CCTV can only be requested under data protection legislation, Donal. The best thing for this person to do is to make a direct contact with us to report the matter. We, as part of our investigation, are entitled to make an application on the Data Protection Act for the CCTV and investigate crime and road traffic matters. So I'm asking the caller to please report the matter sooner rather than later, as the CCTV may not remain on the system for long. So that is a road traffic offence, hit and run, leaving the scene of an accident. It may be a case that the car was damaged by stone or something, but it appears from the outset that this was a hit and run road traffic collision.
Can a member of the Gardaí ask you for ID while you're on the street, or do they need grounds to ask for it?
Well, I suppose we have different powers under different statutes, Donald, to ask for your name and address. Gardaí can ask for your name and address if they suspect that you have committed an offence or a crime. Maybe road traffic matter, again, burglary, criminal damage, or public order offences on the streets. So if suspect that you've given a false or misleading name or address, you can be arrested. So if the member of Garda Síochána who makes the demand for your name and or address suspects that your name and or address is false or misleading, you can be arrested, and therefore in many circumstances you may be asked for ID to verify or clarify your name and or address.
Now, and this is a complicated one, which is grown more complicated by the fact that this references illustrations which we obviously can't show on the radio. But a caller is asking about the Polestar roundabout in Letterkenny. If you're coming from the Neil T. Blaney Road, i.e. coming past Aldi and the Council's Public Services Centre, onto the Polestar roundabout, and you're travelling toward Derry, the Dry Arch, the
Yes.
dual carriageway, etc.
Yes.
The illustrations show a right-hand lane should only be used to travel in the Derry direction, but recently and more frequently, as people get used to the new layout, some cars are using the middle lane when they see a queue on the right-hand lane, and then they're jumping the queue. And if enough cars do that, they will eventually stop cars exiting onto the Remelton Road, and that's causing gridlock on the roundabout, and it's causing confusion as well for cars that are looking to exit onto the Port Road and the Remelton Road area. Is it illegal to use the middle lane to travel in the Derry direction, or is it just a recommendation to use the right lane? If there is no sanction or penalty against the middle lane, then people will continue to use it to jump the
Well,
queue.
we actually checked this out last night. Grania kindly drove around the roundabout 10 or 15 times. So when you approach the Polestar from the Neil T. Blaney Road, which is from the council officers coming out of town, the road opens into 3 lanes at the roundabout. So the left-hand lane is for going into town only. If you wish to travel on the out towards the N56, out the 4 lane, you can use the right-hand lane or the middle lane to do so. There is signage in place, and there are road markings on the approach to the roundabout to indicate that this is the case. Now, the problem is, in the middle lane, you can also go straight on towards Remelton.
Yeah.
And what's happening is traffic is getting backlogged maybe from the Ballyrane roundabout to Remelton, and people in the middle lane tending to go out towards the 4 lane are getting stuck in that traffic, and they're attempting then to turn right into the inner lane, causing some difficulties. So that would be the problem there.
And is the use of the 2 lanes permissible because you're moving on to 2 lanes
Yes,
then on the 4 lane?
You're coming
so
off.
theoretically, there are 2 lanes to go onto, but what's possibly causing the issue is there are traffic lights in the middle, and that's where the traffic light is stopping them.
Yes, well, the problem is that you could get stuck behind a car that in the middle lane intending to go towards Remelton, and it's maybe backlogged in traffic going out that way, and therefore you're in the middle lane. Ideally, the 2 lanes be flowing round the roundabout and out the 4 lane at the same time, but the middle lane is sometimes gets stuck because of delays going out towards Remelton. Now, I'm told that the new active travel plan for the Ballyrane roundabout will alleviate those problems, and the traffic will be moving quicker.
And the other thing the council is saying, obviously, is that there's regularly realignment of the times and the timings on the lights based on traffic patterns and so on. I think in fairness, the Polestar does seem to be working reasonably well.
It is, yes.
It does seem to be
yes,
working reasonably well now, in fairness. And so that is the situation. Caller, to answer your question, yes, either of the 2 lanes can be used, but yes, there is a risk of getting caught in traffic in the middle one. So Sergeant Ewan Walsh, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Donal. Thank you.
And we'll see you again in the future. Another Community Garda information slot available, of course, next week on the programme. If you want to look back on any of today's issues, it'll be posted on our webpage once the show is over. It'll also be posted on the Garda Síochána Facebook page as well. And there'll be obviously plenty of news stories. Michaela's working away to get the news stories up online as well. So you can look back on and listen back to the whole thing, of course, as well on the podcast of the programme. But for now, thank you very much indeed.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025. Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Kick off your summer of sport with large screen TVs at Curry's. Save €200 on the 55-inch LG Smart 4K OLED TV, now only $1,999. Or get the 55-inch LG Smart 4K QNED TV, only $849, save €50. Get in store or online at currys.ie.
Expecting a baby? Then a visit to Cool Kids Sligo's summer sale is a must, with up to 50% off selected prams, pushchairs, car seats, nursery furniture and high chairs. Cool Kids Sligo, your premier destination for baby equipment in the Northwest. We will take a deposit and deliver free nationwide. Shop online at babyaccessories.ie.
At Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Bus Éireann is looking for professional driving contractors with coaches, minibuses and taxis to join Ireland's school transport scheme. So be a pillar of your community, help steer our children to a brighter future and start your day with happy smiling faces. Sign up at buseireann.ie/contractors. Bus Éireann operates the school transport scheme on behalf of the Department of Education.
Coming this year to Dublin for the very first time. 71 shows completely sold out. Hamilton at the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. Experience the revolutionary musical that's taken the world by storm. Witness history come alive with electrifying performances and unforgettable music with a modern twist. Book your place now on the outlet at highlandradio.com or call us on 074 91 25,000.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show, 24 minutes to 11 o'clock, halfway through the programme already. It's amazing how fast time goes when you're sitting in this seat. Just to remind you, 086 60 25,000 for your texts or WhatsApps. You can call us 074 91 25,000. Caroline taking your calls and producing, Shannon taking your calls as well. We're at Highland Radio on X, we're Highland Hub on Facebook, and comments at Highland Radio if you wish to send us an email. Now, we're joined in studio by a very important person with regards to innovation in Inishowen. Inishowen Innovation has appointed its first entrepreneur in residence. And I'm delighted to say that we are joined in studio by said person. It's someone that we know from of old, Lee Tedstone. Good morning.
Good morning, Donal. How are you?
Very well indeed. Lee, entrepreneur in residence. Now, we're used to hearing of artists in residence and authors in residence, and entrepreneur in residence now is a very interesting concept. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so the entrepreneur in residence role came about really, it's a voluntary role from myself. It's at the II, like you said, Inishowen Innovation, and Inishowen Innovation Hub is set up really to support startup tech companies or remote workers or digital nomads as they're more commonly known. The centre's a great centre, great facilities. Anne-Marie McLaughlin is the manager down there. It's supported by Donegal County Council and Enterprise Ireland. And I occasionally work there. But while I was there over the last few months, I got talking to some of the tenants there, I got talking to Anne-Marie, and that really developed into this notion of being able to support those entrepreneurs or tech startups. So I have a lot of experience. I have 25 years experience building, buying and selling software companies. So experience is valuable to some of those people, so that's really how it came about, Don.
Your own background, you've worked in various businesses in Inishowen and further afield. You've also been across the Atlantic in the US.
Yeah, I spent 6 years in Houston, Texas, so I suppose just a bit about my own background. Like I say, I'm 25 years in the industry, but last 10 years of my life I spent working for a company, Aviva. Not to be confused with the insurance company. It's a UK technology company that primarily operates in the energy sector, but while I was there, a big part of my role was working on mergers and acquisitions. So again, I have a lot of experience of acquiring businesses, selling businesses, and really helping those businesses get set up for success and growth. So I've just found that I think when you look at the Northwest region, Donegal, Inishowen, there's a lot of really, really good talent, a lot of really good businesses starting up, but it's a bit of a lonely place sometimes to start, particularly in starting any business is very, very difficult, but particularly in technology or software, because there's a lot of sunk cost at the start and stuff, and it can take a long time to get it off the ground. So, just having, a bit of a shoulder to lean on, a bit of moral support and a bit of guidance around how you might do that, I found is very, very valuable for a lot of people. So for me, last year, we had sold Aviva to a company called Schneider Electric. And at that point, I exited the business. So I decided after moving home from Texas, when I'm back living home in Buncrana, I thought, well, you know, how do I give a bit back? So I've got this experience and I've got a bit of time and stuff. So it's great for me just to be part of the whole initiative there.
And what basically happens is you're in Initial Innovation as this entrepreneur in residence. People go there with an idea. They may have something in their head that might work in the tech sector. You have all this experience. You kind of know what's going to fly, what isn't going to fly. And you can also help them in terms of venture capital, I presume. You can help them in terms of, you know, how to look at the growth and development of a company, maybe when the right time to sell on is, maybe when the right time to buy is, and they can come to you for that advice.
Exactly right, Donal. You know, what you find, particularly in these tech startups, is a lot of the people start them up are typically, you know, software engineers or some form of engineers that started up. So they have really, really good subject matter, really good innovative ideas.
But haven't a clue about business.
Haven't a clue about business. Yeah, but I mean, business is difficult, right? You know, there's a whole bunch of back office, you know, HR, finance, like you mentioned, you know, trying to get access to capital, loans and all that good stuff. So it's really helpful for a lot of these people just to have that bit of, you know, if you want to call it mentorship, right? To navigate around that. And you can, you know, when you're on that journey as an entrepreneur, you can, I suppose, burn through a lot of time or waste a lot of time, and it's a distraction from the core of the value of what it is you're trying to do. So again, just having that bit of direction and a bit of mentorship can be really valuable to some of these people.
Would it be fair to say that over the course of your 25 years, you can see where something is going to work, you can see where something maybe isn't going to work, and sometimes you might be able to give someone the steer and say, look, I'm not sure that element of it is going to work, but I'm looking at what you're doing here, maybe focus on that, because I'm not sure the other thing will fly. I mean, I'm sure you have perspectives that you can look and say, yeah, I saw someone try this before and it wasn't a huge success.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, one of the sayings that I find myself using quite a bit is a solution looking for a problem, right? So people have sometimes very, very clever, innovative ideas, but they haven't fully defined the problem statement around it. So, like, for example, I had a meeting in the II just last week, and someone was looking at a particular type of drone technology, but there was, you know, issues around how they were going to apply that drone technology and apply the software to it that maybe they had recognised, but hadn't maybe fully formed a solution around. Whereas based on the experience I had, there was other applications of that same technology and same software that took away those restrictions around airspace and stuff like that. So yeah, just those kind of anecdotal, you know, pointers and stuff that just based on my experience, again, you know, people seem to find very, very helpful.
As you said, this is a voluntary thing that you're doing to give back to the community. Presumably, you're also going to be getting back into business yourself as well. I mean, once a buyer and seller, always a buyer and seller, I suspect.
That's right, Donal. Yeah, in fact, there's 5 or 6 different projects that I'm involved in. Very exciting one here. I'm working with a company in Letterkenny, Involve. Barry Harper's the CEO there. Brilliant connected worker software. It's a great tool, great technology, and it's on a great growth path. There's a company in Singapore I'm working with, another company in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm about to get involved with a company in California, an AI-based company. So again, you know, I keep myself busy doing all that stuff as a mix of investments and board advisory roles. But the one in Buncrana, I'm just excited about it because, look, you know, Buncrana is my hometown. I've lived abroad for quite some time. I love Buncrana. I love Inishowen. I love Donegal. I'm a proud Irishman. So I'm incredibly proud to be able to give a bit back and help those businesses out. The centre's a thriving centre. Like I say, it's set up to encourage these, you know, technology startups. But there's also hot desking space there, you know, so anybody can come and, you know, use the facility. So, like I say, this notion of digital nomads. Believe it or not, Donal, I was doing some research before the interview, and I found out that in Donegal alone, there's over 5,000 digital nomads. So these are people that are just working remotely. So if you think about it, and you know, and the reason they're doing that is because, you know, we have, it's a beautiful county to live. I think that goes without saying. But there's some really good facilities and resources. You have a really good work-life balance, and we have some amazing, talented people here. But if you think of that's a workforce of 5,000 people in Donegal, it's like arguably, if you think of that as a company, it's one of the biggest employers in Donegal. So it's great to see these initiatives, you know, being supported by Donegal County Council. You know, Maeve Conaghan and them in Enterprise Ireland do a really, really good job. You know, Airnac down in the CoLab building, Patsy Donaghy there here in Letterkenny, ATU. You know, these are all public sector investment initiatives that are really very important and critical to supporting that whole ecosystem of digital workers.
People may well be listening to your voice and your name and thinking, Lee Tedstone, I've heard that before somewhere. Now, I do recall, I think, on one or two occasions when you were in Houston and there were storms or major weather events, you were on with Greg to speak about the issues you were having at home. But even before that, and you and I know each other from of old, because back in the days of Buncrana Town Council, it wouldn't have just been Lee, it would have been Councillor Lee.
That's right, yeah. Mayor
Way
Lee.
back in the day. It was indeed Mayor. I was going to get to that one, yeah.
It was the 2009 election, so I was a first-time candidate and ran and topped the poll and ended up mayor, so that was it was an exciting time in my life as well. That was really what kick-started the whole community involvement for me. A lot of people say, politicians can't do this or they can't do that, but I think when you're smart and you box clever about how you be a politician, I think you can make a lot of good positive contribution to the community, and for me that's what local politics are about, really. So.
And the fact you got out of local politics and moved to Houston, I mean, you didn't have to move to Houston. That was just a business thing. I mean, now you're back. You're living in Buncrana again. You're reconnecting through the II initiative and your entrepreneur in residence role there. Are you perhaps looking now toward Lifford and thinking, I wonder, should I get back into that again?
No, not at all. Donal, thanks for asking. Now, look, I love politics. I love the whole subject matter of politics. But being a politician can be frustrating as well, and it's not for me. So when I came back, I'll be honest, I did think hard about the local elections just passed and stuff, and I said no, that's not for me. So, but I thought there's other things I can do, right, to give a bit back or help contribute. So, for example, the Inishowen Innovation, the II Hub is one of my things. I'm on the board of iCare, that people know, for children with autism in Buncrana. I'm a big advocate of men's mental health as well, and I've done some work for some fundraising and stuff for Insight and Inishowen. So for me, politics is not the future, but community contribution absolutely is.
The entrepreneur in residence at the Inishowen Innovation Buncrana Hub, thanks indeed for speaking to us today. And if anyone is looking for advice in Inishowen on potential ideas they may have, as you say, a lot of people have great ideas but maybe don't know where to go in terms of business. You're the man that can perhaps give them the steer they need. Absolutely, no problem. Or alternatively, reach out to Anne-Marie at the II Hub in Buncrana, and she'll always be happy to help, and I'm there a couple of days a week as well. So, Lee, thanks very much indeed, and we wish you all the best in the venture, and all the best to those who cross your path with their ideas. As you said, over 5,000 digital nomads in Donegal, people working from home, and you're absolutely right. I mean, if it was 5,000 people working for one company, we'd be making a big hoo-ha about it. So there is a lot of that work going on out there. It's the 9 till noon show. It's approaching 12 minutes to 11. Take a short break. Back after these.
On the farm, there's always something different to do, and a quad bike can be your best friend. But if you're not properly protected and trained, it can be your worst enemy. Too many quad bike incidents on farms have ended in tragedy. It's compulsory for quad bike users to wear helmets and undergo appropriate training. Find out more at hsa.ie/farm safety. An initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 9132033.
Skoda's two brand new models are going fast. This is Donal, driving off in his new HVO-powered Superb Combi. And the Breen family, getting their plug-in hybrid Kodiaq. And this is the sound of someone who didn't get their order in on time. Order your new Skoda today, before it's too late. Skoda. Let's explore.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
If you're organising an event, you might be surprised by everything BizPrint offer. From photo props, backdrops and banners to tablecloths, pens, keyrings and mugs. Everything to make your event a success. Call BizPrint on 9177955 or see bizprint.ie.
Live at Lifford Old Courthouse, check out the great lineup of acts and entertainment. Book tickets now for Alton on August 17th. Other big acts coming this year include Tina Turner Tribute, Proud Mary, Absolute Eagles, Springsteen, The King, Dolly Parton and Shania Twain. Ticket and meal packages available at Lifford Old Courthouse. Book now at LiffordOldCourthouse.com.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. Make your sterling go further with our new cash sales exchange rate at €1.20 for every £1 spent in store. No matter the weather, visit us in Ballybuffet for all your fashion, beauty, gifting and homeware needs this summer.
Looking at the weather forecast, and Met Éireann tell us it'll be largely dry today with a mix of cloud and sunshine. Top temperatures 18 to 22 degrees Celsius, generally light and variable winds. It'll become mostly cloudy tonight with a chance of a few spots of rain or drizzle moving in by dawn on tomorrow morning. Fairly mild and humid overnight. Lowest temperatures 11 to 14 in light to moderate southerly breezes. Tomorrow, Wednesday, mostly cloudy and rather humid with patchy rain and drizzle along with mist in some coasts and hills. Top temperatures tomorrow 18 to 22 degrees Celsius in a moderate to fresh southerly breeze. Now, we are going to John McCarter, who is the chair of the Lough Swilly and RNLI station. John, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Donal. One it is.
It's a pleasure to talk to you as always, John. You're here, John, because we got a query, and I want to read the query very briefly, and it goes like this.
Right.
I'm wondering where the World War II mine that stood on Main Street, Buncrana, in front of the church for many years and was used as a coin collection for the RNLI fundraising is. It was a large metal bomb used in the Irish Sea to sink ships in World War II. I'd love to see it back where it came from, as we as Buncrana lost enough historic items over the years. It's something I'm sure can be returned. It had the RNLI colours and stripes on it and it was part of Buncrana. During COVID, the air raid siren was returned to the fire station and rang out. It was fantastic to hear. I'd love it if it could be rung once a week. Any way anyone has any news on the whereabouts of the mine. And that query came to us from Brendan. And unless I'm very much mistaken, Buncrana wasn't the only place that had a mine being used and repurposed for fundraising for the RNLI. But John, can you answer Brendan's question? Where has Buncrana's mine gone?
Well, I have to unfortunately answer with some bad news in that the mine has gone to wherever mines go. The mine, well, let me tell you a story of it as best I know, Donal. The mine was originally discovered plugging a gap in a ditch somewhere near Malin Head by one of our very enthusiastic young volunteers, a fellow called Brian Farran, who was with us at the very beginning of our RNLI journey. And Brian saw this literally in a ditch and said, this would be a great item if we could get it cleaned up and get it as a collection box, which is exactly what he did. And with the aid of the then Lifeboat Operations Manager, Liam McGee, they got it refurbished and set up on the main street. So you're absolutely right. That's where the mine that was there. And it was there on the main street for quite a few years. And was quite in the early years, certainly of the RNLI, was a very good collection point, and people donated to the RNLI through the box. However, as time went on, it did kind of fall off in its popularity, and I think about 10 or 12 years ago, maybe now, it got coped over one night. I don't know exactly what happened. We never really did find out. But it was knocked off its perch and was in the middle of the road. So we got it lifted and took it to a local engineering shop to see what could be done with it. And as it turned out, part of the reason that it had fallen away is that it had rotted very considerably through at the bottom end of it, and had a lot of water had lain in it, etc., and it wasn't no longer sort of waterproofed, etc.
Yeah.
And the estimation at that time was that this is beyond repair, so it unfortunately was scrapped.
No,
but that's what happened. Yeah. But you're right that mines of that type were in places collection boxes for the RNLI.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly recall seeing them in other areas as well, and I do recall the one in Buncrana. I mean, is it a matter that each individual area tracks down an old mine and repurposes it, or was there a period where the RNLI coordinated this from HQ? Because I was just having a little look on the internet myself, actually, and I came across a couple of references to mines being used as collection boxes, and one of them being Poole in Dorset, which is where RNLI headquarters is. But there was references to it in Birkenhead near Liverpool, references to it in Weymouth, references to it in Girvan in Scotland, and in all cases it did appear to be for the RNLI.
Right. Well, of that I'm not absolutely sure. Maybe that's where Brian got the idea initially for us, because as a very young volunteer with us back in the late 80s, and he probably saw these sort of things in other places, thought, wouldn't that be a great idea for us? So I dare say it's one of those ideas that grew legs after somebody started it. Yeah. I don't think the RNLI got involved to coordinate it as such. But yes, they were. I mean, they're a very unusual item. In fact, we still have one. I think it's a World War I mine out at Fort Dunree, where, as you know, I'm involved as well. Indeed. And while it's not a collection point, it certainly evokes a lot of interest in our visitors out there because of the nature of the thing that it is, and the history of mines and mines in the area and off the coast during World War I and II.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I always wondered, was it slightly ironic that mines were being used as collection points for the RNLI, given that mines are there to sink ships and the RNLI is there to save sailors' lives? I mean, there is a certain amount of irony in using mines as a collection point.
Yeah. It's not dissimilar to another thing that we did, so I was involved in some time back, was using the story of the Irish regiments and divisions in World War I to promote peace and reconciliation.
Yeah.
You know, it seems ironic too that you use battlefield experiences to try and bring communities together.
But then again,
it's one of those things that work.
But then again, the Bible does talk about turning swords into plowshares, and maybe turning mines into collection points for raising money to save seafarers. Yeah. Maybe it makes absolute sense in that context.
Well, it certainly does. And you know, a sea mine is something that does catch people's attention, and particularly sitting on a street as it was in Buncrana there. Yeah. And I suppose, too, with the way things have gone, you know, more and more to cashless transactions and that, there's not so much spare change knocking about now either. I think, you know, the popularity of those things has waned a bit because of the move to cashless and credit card transactions and all that sort of stuff.
I think you're getting to the point where what's going to be more important now in collection points like that is going to be to have a little electronic doodad to the side where someone can press a 1, 3 or 5 euro button and tap their phone onto it, because if you're going to get donations, that's the way they're going to start coming.
It has started to go that way quite
absolutely.
A bit.
John McCarter, John, always a pleasure to speak to you, and thanks indeed for speaking to us this morning and giving us that insight. So sadly the mine shall not be returning to Buncrana, but it's good to get the clarification, and John, thank you very much indeed.
Not at all. Always good to talk to you, Donal.
Thank you, John. Goodbye. As John McCarter there, John, chair of the Lochswilly RNLI in Buncrana. Going to go to a break very shortly before news headlines. Before we do, want to say a happy 16th birthday to Katie Robinson, celebrating her birthday in Donegal. Lots of love from Mam, Dad, James, Grandad Bert, Sally and Boots. Also, please wish our parents Patsy and Sally Grant from Torna Bratley a very happy 50th wedding anniversary. Congratulations and best wishes from your daughters, sons-in-law and all your grandchildren. And a very special lady, Ursula Medici in Letterkenny, celebrated her birthday this week. Happy birthday, Ursula. And absolutely happy birthday, Ursula, from me as well. And I must call down, it's been very remiss of me not to. Ursula, you are indeed a very special lady, and may you have had a great birthday this week, and many, many more of them. We'll take a break. Headlines are next.
Have I got news for you? The Harvey's Point Cabaret is back. Every Wednesday in September and October, Eamon has gathered a galaxy of stars to captivate and entertain. A scrumptious dinner, fabulous entertainment, or a 2-night accommodation package. Harvey's Point Cabaret 074 972 2208 for an immediate reservation, or harveyspoint.com.
Tuchelt. Bíimiid fad á déanamh. Well, ní bhíimiid fad. An bhfuil tú I do hí I duchaltóir. Seans nach tusa tá ann mar sin. Agus sulam ris an aine talamh. Ní mór dóibh seicáil an bhfuil aon fi blianta gáis ann. Détá curisteach mór a bheith ann mar an dhéantar aimlig. Ní rud éigean níos massa a ríis. Túrcuairt gasnetworks.ie/dig chun seicáil. Teachtarach sa bháilteachta ó Gas Networks Ireland.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
I've been surfing all morning at FlemingLTD.com to find out about Fleming doors, Fleming steel and Fleming coatings and their full range of products. So come surfing with me at FlemingLTD.com. Fleming 91 48 234.
Evolve Clothing, biggest summer sale now on. Evolve Clothing, biggest summer sale now on. Evolve Clothing, biggest summer sale now on at Letterkenny Retail Park or evolveclothing.com.
It's 11 o'clock on the 9 till noon show. Time for news headlines, and we say good morning to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Donal. Good morning. Gardaí have renewed their appeal for information following a fatal crash in Kilmacrennan last week. The two-car collision occurred at around 11:50pm on Wednesday last. Brother and sister PJ and Una McGettigan, both aged in their 70s and who were travelling in the same car, died, while the driver of the second car, a woman in her 40s, sustained serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The management of Pilots Union IALPA is meeting to discuss the ballot of its members in the Aer Lingus dispute. The Labour Court has recommended pilots receive a 17.75% pay increase over 4 years to the end of 2026, which Aer Lingus says it will accept. IALPA, which has been holding an electronic ballot since Thursday, has also recommended its members agree to the deal. Donegal County Council is to go to public consultation on a proposal to reduce speed limits in a number of areas. A draft document has been produced by the council proposing a number of changes, including reductions from 80 to 60 km per hour in some areas. The reduction of limits from 50 to 30 km per hour in a number of housing estates is also included. Sinn Féin are calling for the location of asylum seeker accommodation to be chosen on socio-economic grounds and not in areas with high levels of deprivation. The party's leadership will launch a policy document outlining their plan for international protection. Gardaí in Donegal are warning that anyone caught using an e-scooter on a footpath will be fined. The same applies for cyclists who are only prohibited to use a designated cycle lane on a footpath. It's after 2 people were knocked down by cyclists using footpaths in Letterkenny over the weekend. Investigations are continuing into a fire at a building site in Convoy. At around 4:30am on Thursday last, a dump truck was set on fire at the site in Milltown. Gardaí are appealing to anyone who is in the area and has dashcam footage to make it available to them, or anyone who may have information to come forward. Long-time learner drivers won't be able to continuously renew their provisional licences anymore without sitting their driving test. A loophole that allowed them to stay on the roads without undergoing the test is finally being closed off. You will only be allowed to continue driving beyond a third learner permit if you sit the test. And Gardaí are reminding people to be security conscious when parking their car. It's after a Dell laptop was stolen from the boot of a car parked in the Carnamoyle area of Muff on Tuesday night last. A second car at the property was also searched but nothing stolen. There were 4 more attempted thefts in the early hours of Wednesday morning last in Muff and Burnfoot. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Inishella's range of delicious, quality Irish meats is perfect for any dish.
Exactly. Hugo Keenan, rugby star, knows it. Whether you're whipping up weekday dinners,
Usually chicken fillets or lean minced beef.
Hugo leanin',
Sure.
or serving up a one-pot chicken casserole, or pork chops with a creamy mushroom sauce, or
Inishella's perfect for any meal all year round.
pick up a pack from the Inishella range today in participating Spar, Eurospar, Mace, Londis and XL stores.
Inishella, the perfect match.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. We're into the final hour of the programme. It's 4 minutes past 11 o'clock. Earlier we spoke to Councillor Thomas-Sean Devine of the 100% Redress Party, who moved a motion of no confidence in Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien at the plenary meeting of Donegal County Council in Lifford last evening. As we said at the time, a counter-motion was proposed by Councillor Kieran Brogan of Fianna Fáil. That counter-motion suggested that the vote on a vote of confidence be deferred until after Minister O'Brien visits Donegal, which is expected to do in the coming weeks. That counter motion fell. It was defeated by 18 votes to 11, and the original motion was passed. Now we're joined on the line by Councillor Kieran Brogan, who is the Deputy Mayor of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. Kieran, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
Councillor Kieran Brogan, why did you feel it necessary yesterday to move that counter motion?
Well, I think in fairness, we all know that the new defective block scheme is only up and running now for over a year. And that scheme wouldn't be reviewed until after a year. And we all know that there's some challenges in the scheme that we need to try and improve. And I'm led to believe, although I'm not a member on it, that there was a very constructive and positive defective concrete block meeting recently. And the members of that group, I suppose, address some of the concerns that they have, and I think moving forward together, it was suggested that the Minister would be coming to the county, and I think we were informed that he would be coming to the county soon, and that we would maybe together put together the challenges that we've seen in the system and try and overcome them hurdles together. And I think, what happened here yesterday was, a motion of no confidence in the Minister. I think, it's all right, and it's grand, and I said it yesterday, it may or may not get a headline, but it won't achieve anything, and it's probably somewhat misleading for people to think that we as a council can change national legislation or decisions like this, because a motion of no confidence or decision on a minister can only be taken in the National Parliament in Leinster House in Dublin. We as a council have, through the defective block scheme, worked together over the years. There's a cross-party working group there that has worked very hard over the last number of years to try and address the challenges in the system and the scheme. There was an old scheme there, it was 90-10, and there was a figure of 247,000. Now that scheme was changed, and in fairness, I think to our own Minister, Charlie McConlogue, who played a huge role in bringing about this new scheme, where it's now up to 420,000. And we know there's changes expected to that scheme soon. And that's something that hopefully can be addressed. But I think the best way of us addressing, shaping any policy going forward is to try and meet with the Minister and his team, because I've always seen the role of a public representative.
But the point was made yesterday that Minister Darragh O'Brien hasn't met with homeowners in the past, and he may have made visits to Donegal, but he's met with political representatives. He hasn't met with the homeowners. There is a sense among very many homeowners in the county and further afield, we're told, that Darragh O'Brien isn't connecting with them, that Darragh O'Brien just isn't taking on board the enormity of the situation that they find themselves in, and that's the reason it's important to make this, finding of no confidence in him, to send a very clear and distinct message.
That wouldn't be accurate, because in fact the homeowners were part of the initial working group, and the elected representatives for the councillors in Donegal weren't part of it. It was the homeowners who Darragh O'Brien put on that working group, and he was the person who appointed the homeowners back in the day, Donal. So I think it's important we're accurate about that. And there has been many challenges throughout the scheme and getting it to where it is today. And, things about the additional money for the rent and additional money for the storage, all that would have came from the homeowners over the last number of years. And we all know that there's challenges in the scheme we need to try and improve going forward. But I think there's a genuine effort being made to improve that. And I think we're stronger together if we sit down around the table together as a collective group of elected members and our officials in the council as well, because I do know that our own people within the council, who have somewhat of a limited role of administrating the service, nevertheless, there have been 35 million paid out to date on the scheme, which is a huge amount of money. And I think they're the people who's dealing with the scheme on a daily basis. They know the challenges that's there. And I know there was a motion put forward yesterday about additional resources to try and get more information out to the hubs, which I thought was a good motion, because I think what we need to do is try and streamline where there is some hurdles and where there is some information that's not out there, and try and be as helpful as we can to as many homeowners, because at the end of the day, this is an issue that has caused a huge amount of anxiety and stress to many families. We need to try and learn from maybe some of the hurdles that people have faced to date and try and help him to overcome that. And the only way of us doing that will be sitting down with the Minister and with his team to try and do it together. And I think everybody that I've seen working on this scheme have been trying to do the best for the homeowners. And I think we can achieve more by continuing to do that going forward. You know, you'll get a headline surely of no confidence, stuff like that. I don't think we'll achieve anything. And maybe it's playing a bit of politics or whatever. I think we need to take this more serious. And that's why I put down the counter motion yesterday, because hopefully when the Minister does come, that we all get a chance to express the concerns we have with the scheme and how we can improve the scheme going forward, because this is a scheme that's going to be around for a while, and it's important that we try and do what we can together on this scheme going forward.
Do you have any confirmation as to when that visit will take place?
No, I haven't, and I'm sure that that will be something that will be done through our own Minister, Minister McConnell, because they both sit at Cabinet together. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think we're lucky that we have a Cabinet Minister here in Donegal, and a lot of good work has been achieved.
Yeah.
And we need to continue focus on what we can do for the Northwest and here in Donegal. And this scheme here, I believe, wouldn't be as far advanced, only that we had the benefit of having somebody at the Cabinet table to do that.
The point was made that the council will effectively be closed for the month of August. There won't be meetings. A lot of people will be on holiday. And maybe August isn't the best of times to be having such a meeting as this, that it would have been a lot better had the Minister come at a time when all the council offices were open, when council was meeting on a regular basis, when the council was perhaps having the special housing meetings, the last of which is taking place today before the August recess, as it were. So from that point of view, a bit of dissatisfaction with the timing of this visit by Darragh O'Brien. How important is it in your view that when Darragh O'Brien comes, he does meet with the 100% redressed representatives, that he does meet with homeowners, that he is actually seen to be engaging directly with those affected? Because, as you say, he may well indeed have put homeowners on committees and working groups in the past, but there is a perception out there that he's not as in touch with the homeowners as others have been, and that needs to change.
Yeah, well, first of all, the council office doesn't close during August. There doesn't be as many meetings during August, but we all know in the world we live in now today, with electronic devices and stuff, we have there's so much access and people are available. I believe and I'm hopeful that those who have confidence in Darragh O'Brien, that he will sit down and meet with them and meet with the executive of the council. And on occasions like this, I've almost seen people made themselves available to make a very positive presentation. And I think our Director of Service, who's dealing with this now over the last maybe year or more, Michael McGarvey, has a very good grasp on the challenges there. And I think our own people can together sit down with the elected members and make a good positive presentation. I think we need to look at this visit to the county as a positive and to review the scheme after 12 months to see exactly how the scheme is working and to see if there is hurdles or challenges in the system, which I know there is. There's a lot of challenges, and how together we can overcome them, because at the end of the day our objective is to try and support homeowners in every way we can to get their homes fixed. That's our objective as a party in Fianna Fáil. That's what we've worked on for the last number of years. We've put a lot of time and effort into this scheme. We've had a lot of meetings over different times to try and overcome the challenges and the hurdles of the scheme. And as I said before, this is a very, very emotive issue, but I think together we're stronger together, and not playing politics with this issue, because I think it's much too serious of an issue to be playing politics with.
Is it your belief that we will see movement from the government side in terms of amending and improving the scheme between now and a general election campaign? Dáil resumes in September. We know the budget's the first week in October. Ostensibly that's to facilitate a European meeting, but the widespread perception is that that's to facilitate a general election in mid-November. If we're going to be hitting into an election campaign once we get into the early weeks of October, is anything going to be done to actually address this issue, or is it just going to become part of an election campaign and all the that goes with it?
As I said, Donal, I think this is much too serious of an issue to be playing election or politics with it. I believe this is something that's going to be around for a while, and I think if all parties are around the table together in a positive and constructive way, this is about supporting the homeowners in every way we can, and it's much too serious of an issue to just be playing games because there's an election coming up. I think we need to be showing the homeowners that we want to shape the policy towards the needs of the people, and I believe that will happen, and that will be a gift of the Minister to come down to announce exactly what he's going to do in that regard.
And you believe that is going to happen in the coming weeks?
I'd be confident it will, yeah.
Councillor Kieran Brogan. Yep. Look, Kieran, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning. That's Councillor Kieran Brogan there, who moved that counter motion at the the County House in Lifford yesterday during that meeting, at which Councillor Thomas Sean Devine had moved the initial motion of no confidence in the Minister. And as we said when speaking to Thomas earlier, what happened was the counter motion fell by 11 votes to 18, and the original motion then passed. Looking at some of your other comments, and indeed someone made the point, if 30,000 people marched in Dublin to say they had no confidence in the Minister, what makes the Redress Party think that their motion will have any significance? Another councillor says, please name all the councillors that abstained. I want to ensure I never vote again for any councillor who abstains in any vote. Bishop Casey, and we spoke about Bishop Eamon Casey earlier on and whether he should still be buried in the cathedral in the Diocese of Tuam. Caller says, Bishop Casey, what a horrible and despicable man to be buried in consecrated ground. He should be dug up and burned and scattered in a dump. Another person asks, how many people believe that Bishop Casey should be left to rest in consecrated grounds? Now, there is a difference here between someone being buried in consecrated ground and someone being buried within the crypt of the cathedral. Being buried within the crypt of the cathedral is an honour that is bestowed on former bishops and former dignitaries within the church. The question is, should someone of Bishop Casey's history, who is now, we're told, effectively viewed as a sexual predator, is the crypt of a cathedral in an honorific position suitable for such a person to be buried in? That's a question. Now, in fairness, consecrated ground is another story. There are many people with checkered pasts buried in consecrated grounds. There are many people with various convictions buried in consecrated ground. Buried in consecrated ground is a different thing, in fairness, and if that were to be debated, that could become a very wide debate indeed. Another caller says, having watched the Bishop Casey documentary last night, it makes you wonder how many other secrets the Vatican are hiding. I feel so sorry for his niece and others who have never got closure. Earlier on, a caller asks, where is Joe Biden? And then another caller suggested that Donald Trump would be the person to solve the Ukraine-Russia conflict and also the Israel-Gaza war. Well, one of our callers has responded, Joe Biden is an 81-year-old man with COVID. That's what he's been doing. As for Trump stopping the Gaza war, he's a die-hard Israel supporter. He even has an illegal settlement named after him. Stunningly ill-informed. Another caller says, in relation to speed limits that we discussed earlier, fit the council better to bring the roads up to standard, but down the speed limits just because they can't do what they're supposed to. There are too many chiefs in Lifford. Now, as I did say, and we discussed this briefly earlier, there was a presentation at Donegal County Council yesterday. There is a draft document which proposes a number of changes to speed limit bylaws across Donegal. One of those changes being in certain areas, limits being reduced from 80 kilometres an hour to 60 kilometres an hour. Now, there is a draft document was produced at that meeting, and that's going to go out to public consultation. It'll be published and go to consultation in the coming days. What we've done is we've taken that document as it was presented to council yesterday, and we've put that document up on our website. So if you want to go into the news section of the Highland Radio website, you can look at that document. Now, it's not a uniform 60 kilometres an hour across the board. It's in very specific circumstances, and there are some very precisely worded suggestions in that document, which you could not really summarise for a news story or on a programme like this, because it's incredibly detailed. So what I would suggest is go on to our news website. You'll see that document there. Have a look at the document, read through it and see what they are proposing. Another caller says, can you raise the question with Donegal County Council why their e-parking app is down so often? It is unreliable. I've only used the e-parking app on a handful of occasions and it did work for me, but certainly it's a point that we'll raise. We were talking about the Polestar earlier with Sergeant Ewan Walsh during the Garda community slot, and caller says the Polestar is a nightmare for visitors or strangers to the town. I'm local and I'd go out of my way to avoid it if I could. Now, I think in fairness, I would have to say it is awkward having lights in the middle of the roundabout, and that is strange. And I do have to say it's almost, when you have lights on a roundabout, what you're effectively doing is, and I find I'm going onto the roundabout because my light is green. If I'm coming, say, from the 4-lane and I'm going to turn up the Remelton Road, which is what I would do quite frequently if I'm coming back from Lifford or wherever. And I found this yesterday, actually, even coming back from Lifford last about 20 past 6 or thereabouts yesterday evening. So I'm approaching the Polestar roundabout, and I'm taking the third exit off the roundabout to go over by the Remelton Road. As I'm going onto the roundabout, because my light is green, I can see cars coming from the Remelton Road and from the Port Road town centre side coming on my right. And my instinct is to stop, because when you're going onto a roundabout, if there's traffic coming from your right, you stop and you don't go onto the roundabout. Now, my brain knows that those cars are coming around the roundabout and they are going to stop because there are lights there. But the brain sort of sees the cars coming around the roundabout, and it just feels strange to be driving onto a roundabout when you can still see cars approaching you from the right. It just sort of feels wrong, even though my brain knows there is a light there that's going to stop those cars. It is. But I find I was nervous about it for the first week or two, to be honest. And I think most people were. But I'm used to it, and I've spoken to various people who were very iffy about it at the start, but now they're at peace with it. But it's an obvious ongoing discussion to be had, and there will be lots of discussions about the Polestar over the coming weeks, months, and I suspect, let's face it, years. It's 11:19, time for a short break. Back after these.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Big Band Country Nights continue at Logues of Cranford this Tuesday with Declan Nerney and his band. That's another Big Band Country Night this Tuesday with Declan Nerney at Logues of Cranford, where you'll also find music in the Wee Bar on Saturdays and old time dancing on Sundays.
It all begins with a thump as the needle nestles into a deep valley of vinyl. Sizzle and crackle turns into fizzle and scratch, and the mesmerising rotations of pop and hiss.
Ah, the crackle of a vinyl record. Just one of the ordinary sounds rediscovered by Sean. Whatever sounds you've lost, our hearing experts could help you find them again. Book a free hearing test at Specsavers.
Hey, got some old household electrical appliances or batteries lying around? Recycle them for free with We Ireland in partnership with Donegal County Council at our special collection day on Wednesday 24th of July in Killybegs at the Shore Road Car Park Killybegs from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll accept anything household with a plug or battery. See weeireland.ie.
Check out Super Value's Real Rewards prices. Scan your card or app and get Meridian Smooth or Crunchy Peanut Butter 1 kg was €10.99, now €5. And Fairy Platinum Plus dishwasher tablets 48 piece, now €10. Plus, save even more with weekly vouchers on the Real Rewards app. Make real savings every week at Super Value.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
And the time here on Highland Radio is 22 minutes past 11 o'clock. Now we have two guests in studio, joined by Hugh Friel of the Donegal Travellers Project and also by David Carpacci, who is a Roma health community worker in Donegal. You're both very welcome indeed.
Very well,
you.
thanks.
And David, you're welcome as well. Pleasure. A short documentary film, Samron, is to be shown on this coming Thursday at 12 noon at the Regional Cultural Centre on the Port Road in Letterkenny. It's a film that depicts the Roma community in Ireland with a focus on those living in Donegal. David, turning to you first as a member of the Roma community and a health community worker within that community. Important from your point of view that story is told?
It is important because there was never a documentary done in Ireland about our community.
And in terms of Roma, people will be aware of Roma, and the immediate instinct is to say Roma, yeah, they're travellers, but there is a uniqueness to your community, and there are differences in your community, and there is a specific identity within your community that you want to see preserved.
There is. You can get Pentecostal Roma, you can get Polish Roma, you can get Ukrainian Roma, you can get Czech Roma. It's all the same but different traditionals.
And the Roma tradition is one that, as we say, the wider community perhaps not aware of, but important to yourself and good that this story is being told and being told to a wider audience.
It is very important because our community just talk about the challenges and the discrimination they face day by day.
Hugh, as a member of Donegal Travellers Project, you've been working with David and others for years. I mean, put this film into context for us. I mean, what can people expect if they go to see it?
I think it's a new, exciting, historical documentary in terms of what we've established. Emer Heaney led out with David, myself, Siobhan McLaughlin is the manager, initiated this idea around the Roma documentary, and to document the kind of the culture and aspects of and history of the Roma community living in Donegal. And we've done, Katie McLaughlin's leading out, has been contracted, and her and the team in terms of the documentary. And it's been quite exciting and quite a development in terms of us as Donegal Travellers Project and the Roma Project, to facilitate and go out and feel warm and welcomed by the Roma community, and to kind of document that on a film aspect. Has been quite an eye-opener in relation to the diversity within the Roma community, because we have different contents of the documentary in terms of the Pentecostal church, and the singing, the wealth of culture, singing aspects of culture, family bonding, support mechanism within the Roma community is astonishing and very lovely. And as a member of the travel community myself, we travelled and we were very nomadic, and we historically, have been subjected, I suppose, to the legislation to kind of eradicate our culture. And sometimes I looked around upon the Roma community, and gives me hope and courage and kind of inspiration that the Roma community and Letterkenny and throughout the county Sligo and Leitrim, Donegal host kind of cultural events within limited areas of spaces of their housing estates or their rented properties, of having small barbecues or dancing or singing, and it's really a celebratory to see. But this documentary, I think, is the first of its kind in Ireland. I haven't seen any other documentaries in relation to it, the Roma community, so it's brilliant to see that we have documented, and David has facilitated all the translation in relation to Ukraine Roma, as David outlined, Czech Roma, Polish Roma, Romanian Roma. So we have a kind of big diversity of the EU contents of Roma, because people see travellers as one homogeneous group, they see Roma as one homogeneous group, but that's not who we are or what we're about. So that the documentary kind of celebrates this, and there's also a photo exhibition, the first of its kind too as well, that we're showing on the day.
And David, it's obvious from what Hugh was saying there that, and you said it yourself, there's Polish Roma, there's Romanian Roma, Czech Roma, Ukrainian Roma, and from that point of view then the links with Eastern Europe are still there, and I'm sure that's reflected in the music, that's reflected in the culture, that's reflected in the stories.
Yeah, that's true. Every culture is nearly similar, but like different traditions.
And in terms of the music, is it music that would be influenced by Eastern European chants, Eastern European melodies, as much as Irish traditional music?
Yeah.
And so we talk about fusion, and sometimes you can get a fusion of an Irish musician playing with a musician from another culture, and it can come up with something beautiful and something very different, and it would be very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing this, because one of the things I'm looking forward to is hearing the music, because I suspect, the music of Eastern Europe, the music of those countries is going to be different to music here, but I suspect it's not just going to be Ukrainian music, it's going to be Ukrainian music with a hint of Ireland in it as well, and it's going to be something that's uniquely yours.
Yeah, the music would be similar, but it's different dialects. Even when you're talking Ukrainian Roma, it'd be the same but different dialects on it.
Yeah. And would some of the community still speak in those native language? Would they be speaking Ukrainian, speaking the Eastern European language and I'm sure too words come across even into speaking English. Your own word comes, your own words come in, your own turns of phrase come in, your own way of speaking comes in, and that's going to be important to you as well as part of a culture to preserve.
Oh yeah, it is important because nearly everyone talks Romani. That's how I get on with my community, and especially the Czech community, the Polish community, and
that Romani would be, all Roma would speak it, but I'm sure there's going to be different emphases, different accents, different, and that I'm sure is going to not create problems, but there's going to be, you'd probably know if you were speaking Romani to someone, you'd probably know where they came from based on the accent, based on the inflections, based on the way you're speaking. You'd know which branch, be it Ukrainian, be it Czech, be it Polish.
Yeah, it is, because when we're doing visiting, the first question I asked them is San Rom, and the answer they give us back is Sam Rom, that means we are Roma.
Yeah.
So from then I know how to translate and.
So Sam Rome is Are You Roma?
We Are Roma.
Sam Rome is We Are Roma.
Yeah.
And I should have asked that at the very start.
Yeah,
Given
that's the title of the documentary.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I suppose from our perspective as well, Donegal County Council, Creative Ireland give us the funding.
Yeah.
You know, in relation to the documentary. So I have to thank Donegal County Council and Creative Ireland for engaging and supporting this documentary as well, and what we're trying to establish, I suppose, in terms of getting the voices of the Roma community out there.
Yeah.
In a very positive way, Greg, because that's because that's what we're trying to achieve as well. And it's in the Errigal Arts Festival for the week as well. But if anybody wants to come along, you have to, I suppose, book with us, because we have initially a number of people coming. So Emer Heaney is her email address. It's Emer Heaney DTP23@gmail.com if anybody wants to come. So that's Emer Heaney DTP23@gmail.com. So there are RSVP to her. Because we have a number of people coming, we have limited seats in relation to it as well. But it's going to be a very historic day for us as well at the project, as I said, because we want to celebrate the culture and identity of the Roma community. It's never been done before in Donegal or any other parts of Ireland. So it's brilliant to see that we've done this in conjunction, and the Roma community has been at the sole heart of this.
Yeah.
David has been through, all the translation, the visits with the families, and the trust and the respect that you get from the Roma community in relation to that is unbelievable.
And David, it's very important too, I take it, that you are involved in making this film. This isn't somebody coming in, making a film, going away, and then presenting the film as something separate from you. You're involved in this from the off. This is your story, and you're a key part of telling that story. It isn't somebody else's interpretation of the story. It is yours.
Yeah, that's right. It is, because we done a lot of visits. Especially, we got more trust of my own community because I was there. So.
And that meant that the stories that came across are genuine. They people were opened up in a way because you were there that they mightn't have opened up if it was me or it was a filmmaker they didn't know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting film. I look forward to seeing it, and hopefully I will over the course of the coming days. I'll be working on Thursday, so I can't be there, but I'm hoping to see it. David, thank you very much indeed. David Carpacci, who's a Roma health community worker in Donegal, Leitrim, Sligo, and Hugh Donegal Travellers Project, no stranger to this programme.
No.
You're both very welcome indeed, and thank you very much indeed for telling the story. And just repeat that email address if people do want to go on Thursday. Hugh, repeat the email address again.
Emer Heaney, which is EIMERHEANEY DTP23@gmail.com. So it's Emer Heaney DTP23@gmail.com.
Hugh, David, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Donal. Thank you.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Michael Henney's summer sale is here. Grab your favourite designer brands for a fraction of the price. We have a massive 50% off your favourite designer fashion, home, jewellery and beauty brands. Make your savings go further on sterling cash purchases with a €1.20 rate. Shop the sale rails this summer at Michael Henney's Ballabafay or online at michaelhenneys.com.
New store Call of the Wild is now open on Main Street, Letterkenny, with top quality outdoor clothing, footwear and equipment. Also the best advice and great service. Top names include Bearcouse, Yeti, Gore-Tex and Orca. Also Rip Curl, Camping Gaz, Hoka and many more. Get the best gear, whatever your lifestyle, at Call of the Wild in Letterkenny. See callofthewild.ie.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more. Treat yourself with Tesco finest certified Irish Angus T-bone steak, now half price. Juicy discounts on selected Keeling's berries, now 3 for €8. Plus spice up your dinner with Old El Paso kits and selected Coke 4-packs, any 2 for €6. Get more from your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. Shop in-store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Subject to availability, prices vary in express stores. Deposit may apply. See tesco.ie.
Transform your home with Hegarty's Home Interiors in Buncrana. Discover a wide selection of stylish furniture and decor to create your perfect space. Our expert team offers personalised advice to match your style and budget. Visit us on Main Street, Buncrana. Open Monday to Saturday 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. or visit hegartyshomeinteriors.ie. Hegarty's Home Interiors, making homes beautiful since 1946.
The brand new Therapy Clinic Letterkenny is celebrating with a grand opening from 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursday, July 25th. Come down and explore the brand new Irish-owned clinic. The 5,000 square foot clinic and the expert team are offering customers a wide range of aesthetic treatments such as anti-wrinkle injections, laser hair removal, advanced skin treatments and free consultations. To find out more, visit therapyclinic.com.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Now, a very important issue to discuss, and we're going to Zoom to do it because we're being warned of a hidden pandemic of online sexual abuse, with the Internet Watch Foundation saying it's seen a spike in self-generated child abuse images where a young person is encouraged by somebody online to take explicit photos. Joined by Dan Sexton, who's Chief Technology Officer with the Internet Watch Foundation. Dan, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Dan, good to talk to you. Dan, how big an issue is this that people, and young people in particular, are themselves actually taking explicit photographs because they're being encouraged to do so?
So in our work at IWF is primarily is to find, assess and remove images and videos of child sexual abuse that we find on the internet. And predominantly for the last few years, the majority of that content has been images of the children without any visible third party in the room that appear to be very much, whether they've been voluntarily or coerced in some manner, but they're being taken on camera-enabled internet devices and circulated on the internet. So the majority of content we find now circulated is what we've termed as self-generated, but very much as children have been coerced or otherwise voluntarily creating sexual imagery of themselves that is then distributed and circulated around. So it is the main issue that we've seen.
So does this then suggest that there are predators who are actually befriending these children online? They're talking to them on webcams, or is it something even being done through AI, or what is happening in terms of the way they're being coerced into doing so?
So both of those have been we've seen evidence of both of those in the imagery that we have assessed. Both the evidence of grooming, we've seen that, we've realised that. I think there is the systems and platforms that children are using are just not designed with that safety in mind, and we're seeing that with things like rise in sextortion. So actually, with sextortion, you've got organised criminals targeting children and teenagers to extort them, fool them into creating sexual imagery, which they then use to blackmail them. And the fact that that's happening, and these are not, in this case, this is a new kind of threat actor. It's not people with sexual interest in children. These are criminals that are doing it for money. So they're seeing them as vulnerable. They're actually diverting criminal resources because they know it's easy to get that content out, easy to shame those children into then supplying money. The AI is a new way of doing this, a new eventuality and a new abuse of technology we've seen, which is only making our job even harder.
Are we getting to the point where the capability of AI will be such that a picture can be taken of a child and that picture can be digitally, and both in terms of a picture and a video, it can be digitally manipulated to such an extent that it can make films using AI-generated scenarios and the face of the child superimposed onto other situations, which we won't talk about the detail of, but that AI can actually get to the point where it can take a face from a photograph and use that face for disgusting images and videos?
Well, I'm very sorry to say I think we're already at that point. Whatever you're seeing in the mainstream, so use of technology to do other things, legitimate things, normal things, other stuff you see on the internet, generative AI used for creation of imagery, for videos, you're seeing large language models and chatbots. What we see in the darkest places of the internet is the same technology, or the same types of technology being used for nefarious purposes, in this case to create images and videos of children being sexually abused. So it is already here and it is already happening.
And the technology to do that is presumably, given the way any trend in technology goes, that's going to become more and more ubiquitous, more and more affordable, and more widespreadly used as we go into the future.
That has absolutely been the trend for the last year or so since we first saw signs of AI-generated child sexual abuse. The realism has increased, the severity has increased. Partially, this is the technology itself is getting better, but partially, actually, the people who are using the technology are getting better at using it. Whether that continues on the same sort of linear trend we've seen with AI in general, and there are some that are saying that maybe this isn't, we are plateauing there. Whatever is happening in mainstream, we can infer that the same sort of trends will happen in criminal use of this. But at the moment, yes, there's more of it, and it's getting worse, and it's getting more realistic.
Talk to me about the job you do, because you, as I understand it, effectively go into those dark recesses of the dark web. You go to those places where the rest of us wouldn't dare venture and wouldn't know how to venture into in most cases. And you have got to, I suspect, sit through and watch an awful lot of very, very unpleasant stuff indeed in there.
So our primary focus is it's a safer internet for all, an internet that is free of child sexual abuse videos and images. And most of our work is actually on the open web, the normal places that anyone could get to through a web browser, because both we're trying to protect those victims to stop their abuse being circulated, to stop them being re-victimized by that distribution of that content, but also protect the public. We don't want anyone to have to stumble across this content. We don't want it being circulated anywhere. However, what we've had to do with the AI, once we started seeing examples of AI-generated abuse on the open web, our analysts went into these dark web spaces where we know offenders and communities are distributing content, discussing content, really to give us some insights as to what might happen on the open web and how bad is that problem. And so the reports that we've recently published were really a deep dive into what we're seeing in these dedicated communities. My big concern is that what we're seeing there in those dark web spaces is going to start to come out of those dark web spaces and into the mainstream internet. And that's when other people start to go to see it. And it's going to start to get into everybody's daily lives. And that's something we really want to stop.
Is enough being done by the tech mega companies of this world, the Googles, the Apples, the Microsofts, to prevent these images being shown and these videos being shown on the open web? Because, if that does make it out there, people may stumble on it, as you say, and that is something we do want to avoid at all costs. So, I mean, is there more needs to be done to perhaps recognize these AI digitally changed videos and images, to recognize the digital footprint or digital fingerprint as such? I'm not totally up to date with the language, but can these files be identified by the ISPs, by the internet providers, by the multimedia companies, by the social media companies, to identify and get rid of them?
Well, the good news is yes. Many of the solutions, once you've found the content, and this is what a big part of our work is, to find these images, to assess them if they are illegal, to add them into lists, to record the URLs they're hosted on, to the digital fingerprints of the imagery itself. We solved the problem of identifying, detecting known content and blocking it more than 10 years ago. The solutions are robust, scalable, efficient. So that is a solved problem. The issue is it's just not widely used. It's consistency. What we need is everywhere in the world, we have the capacity to block and prevent images of child sexual abuse from being circulated. They just need to do it. And at the moment, it's largely voluntary. So we need consistency and we need measures. And so we're really, really very pleased to see, first in the UK particularly, the Online Safety Act coming through and saying this is possible and everyone needs to do it. And it's the baseline, it's the beginning. Once we solve that problem, the next is, how do you prevent the content being created? How do you detect content that no one's seen before and flag that? So the whole ecosystem is a solvable problem. It is there is something we can do, and that's really our specialism. We just need all of the tech companies, all the legislators, all the governments to come together and agree how best to do it. So it is solvable, and I'm optimistic that we will be able to have a safer internet if everyone does get together and apply the technical solutions and policy changes they need to.
We've spoken about how AI can be used to generate these images and facilitate them. Can AI be repurposed from your point of view to track them down, rather than having your volunteers and your analysts looking at sites and perhaps having to troll through a couple of hundred sites in an evening? Can an AI program be drawn up and purposed to actually search thousands of sites over the course of an evening, identify these images, identify these files and flag them?
But it can, and there's been some really positive examples of both of those things, of very targeted use of AI, which will better tell you this looks like an image of child sexual abuse. And the key is it is saying it looks like that. And because it looks like that, please have a human reviewer needs to check this, confirm this, and make that authoritative call. But yes, I think AI is a key component to stop the spread and identify new victims and safeguard new victims on the internet.
Last year, you found 275,000 sites. 92% of them contained what you described as X-rated selfies. That is a scary figure.
It is, and I don't want everyone to think that is this. That it feels to me this is the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. There it is not. There is so much content out there. We're really restricted on how many staff we have looking for it, how efficient we are at getting it. If we were 10 times the size we are, I fear that we would find 10 times the amount of content out there. And again, part of that is some of that imagery that we're finding is the same images that we've already found. Some of these are victims that were abused decades ago. They're grown-up survivors, and their content is still being distributed. And you can only imagine how frustrating that is for our analysts to go and see the same children every day on sites, on different sites again. Again, that's a solved problem. We should have solved that and removed all of that. And those survivors should feel safe knowing that their content is no longer being distributed.
Well, as the technology changes to facilitate this happening, hopefully the technology will also continue to develop to allow it to be prevented. In the meantime, Dan Sexton, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us this morning. Dan Sexton, their Chief Technology Officer with the Internet Watch Foundation. Thank you indeed, Dan.
Thank you.
It's 11:45. Take a short break.
Virgin Media is rolling out 2 gig full fibre broadband to more and more homes across Ireland. Big homes, little homes, haunted houses, big gaffs in the country, non-bouncy castles. Number 16, Oxbow Lake Houses. The house with all the cats. To get Ireland's best broadband, check your address at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media, it's playtime.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. Subject to availability. Ireland's best broadband. See virginmedia.ie/proof.
There's Monster Bingo tonight and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford. €3,250 must go. Doors open at 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo tonight at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
All Together Now Festival returns. August Bank Holiday Weekend, 1st to 4th. Curramore Estate, County Waterford. With The Prodigy, Georgia Smith, Natasha Bedingfield, Barry Can't Swim, plus many more. Tickets from €249 are on sale now. Maybe subject to fees. Over 21, subject to licence. See alltogethernow.ie.
Is that the new Opel?
Yes, of course.
Does it really look that good?
Yes, of course.
Is it fun to drive?
Yes, of course.
Is it packed with smart tech?
Yes, of course.
Can I test drive it right now at Manor Motors Opel?
Yes, of course.
The new Opel Corsa, now available. See manormotors.ie for details.
Go all Aldi with summer barbecue sizzlers, now only $2.99 each, including specially selected Black Angus Ultimate 6-ounce beef burgers, Butcher Selection quick cook chicken fillets, and Butcher Selection pork belly strips, now only $2.99 each. And there's even more in store. All Board Bia quality assured. Go all Aldi while stocks last.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Support local at McElhenny's. With 53 years experience in fashion, beauty and home, we're here for you. Plus, enjoy M-Card rewards when you shop in-store at McElhenny's Ballybuffet.
Good news from Met Éireann today is it will stay largely dry with a mix of cloud and sunshine. Top temperatures 18 to 22 degrees Celsius in generally light and variable winds. Becoming cloudy tonight with a chance of some spots of rain or drizzle moving in by dawn tomorrow morning. Fairly mild overnight, humid with lowest temperatures of 11 to 14 degrees Celsius, light to moderate southerly breezes. Tomorrow, Wednesday, mostly cloudy and humid, patchy rain and drizzle along with mist in some coasts and hills. Top temperatures on Wednesday, 18 to 22 degrees Celsius, moderate to fresh southerly breezes. A few of your comments. Good morning, little burst in Manor Cunningham. Does anybody know when this will be fixed? Also, no water yesterday. Councillor says, is Councillor Brogan for real? The councillors were nowhere to be seen or heard when Micah started. It was Paddy Diver got this problem highlighted. As for our local TD, he can't even speak in our local radio station. Another caller said if County Councillors had Micah, it would be a different story. A number do, it does have to be said. Any word on when the inquiry into planning in Donegal will be made public? Last time Dara O'Brien was on Highland, he said it was on his desk, but he hadn't got around to reading it. Regarding your two interviews today, a caller says, I would have to agree with Councillor Thomas Devine from the Redress Party. We all saw that where there is a will, there is a way in the situation of the people from Ukraine. The government was able to source accommodation for thousands in a very short space of time. Now, I have no issue with assisting the people of Ukraine, but the government could sort out the situation so quickly because they had the will to do it. Why is there a lack of urgency to source temporary accommodation such as modular homes for those who are living with the plight of unsafe houses? Where is the urgency to act? I believe the motion of no confidence had to be proposed to send out the strong message that the Minister is not prioritising this issue as it should be prioritised. So says a caller, and there's more on that we may get to in a few moments. But before we do, another caller says, Gardaí are doing a great job, but it's only the tip of the iceberg. Courts are too lenient with dealers there in every village in the county. I presume that is to do with drugs. Now, we're going to go to line one because we're joined by Susan Gray, the founder of Park, promoting awareness, responsibility and care on the roads. Susan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Donal. Thanks for asking me on.
It's our pleasure as always. Now, we would have heard from Michaela on the headlines at 11 that a loophole that allowed learner drivers stay on the road without ever taking a driving test is to be closed. And it seems to me, Susan, that the very first time we spoke many, many years ago, that was an issue that you were highlighting even way back then.
Yeah, as far back as 2013, Donal. Can you believe that? 11 years ago, we started asking for this loophole to be closed, and the Road Safety Authority put a provision in their strategy then to close it by 2014. And here we are in 2024, and the Minister for Transport, Eamon Ryan's office, contacted us on Friday to say that he has now to address the issue of learner drivers continually renewing a learner permit without ever sitting a driving test, a new policy has been approved by the Minister for Transport and conveyed to the Road Safety Authority. After the third learner permit, the new policy will require that a learner actually sits a driving test before they're eligible for an additional permit. Now that is welcome. We've been told it often, but we never really got it in writing that it's progressed to this level. So we're delighted to get that. Now it's totally down to the Road Safety Authority, who he said is working on an implementation plan for the new policy and will submit its proposals to this department shortly. So that phased introduction of the new policy will begin in 2024. Now, it rests with the Road Safety Authority, so we're not over the hill yet, Donal.
Yeah.
But it had to start with the Minister. This is a ministerial order now, so the Road Safety Authority, we would think, must get their act together now.
Now, it's your understanding, I take it, that this will not need legislation. This is just going to take, as you said, directives and arrangements being made by the Road Safety Authority to implement this. It will not require legislation at all, because if it were to require legislation, the chances are it wouldn't get through before the next general election and would thereby fall by the wayside.
No, the Minister's reply said implementation of the new policy will require changes to IT systems within the Road Safety Authority and a certain amount of manual processing.
So the actual legal framework and legal basis to do this has been there all along.
It would appear to be, Donal, and the delay, we were told by the Road Safety Authority for years, was that they didn't have enough testers and they were crying out for them. Will the Minister give them all the additional testers they needed last year to bring down the waiting time for a learner to get a driving test application? So
is it your
we will watch this.
Is it your hope that the RSA would have anticipated this and they would have ideas already in place that they can come up with a policy fairly quickly? Because the last thing we want to see is this to be dragged on for months and months and months while people sit down and try and formulate a policy. It's utterly predictable that this day was going to come, and hopefully they will have had some work already done to actually speed up this process.
Well, they've been planning to close it since 2013, Donal, with a completion date of 2014.
Yeah.
And then that went on to 2016. And then it went on to 2018. So, of course, they must have it ready to go after 11 years of proposals and planning and submissions to the Transport Minister. There's no excuse now. This totally lies now the Road Safety Authority. If this isn't implemented, it's because they haven't done their bit of work to ensure that it can be started ASAP.
Do you have confidence after being told it would be done all those previous years? Do you have confidence that this time it's different?
Well, our minister's come on board now and actually put it in writing, and he has approved a new policy. We never had that before.
Yeah. That's
where it needed to start. We never got it that far before. We just got promise after promise from the Road Safety Authority, and they would always say that they sent proposals to the current minister, and there it ended. Well, no, it hasn't ended now. The minister has signed off on it, and he's informed RSA. And any things now that are left to do are totally items that the Road Safety Authority has to do. They are single licensing authority in Ireland since 2013 in charge of permits and driving licenses.
And I presume you'll be making contact with the RSA yourself to ask what level of priority has been given to this.
Oh, we've already done that, Donal, and we asked for a copy of their latest proposals of the implementation plan that they're putting in place, that they're going to send to our Transport Minister now. We've been told time and time again it's on its way. So we'll contact them. Their director was on annual leave 2 weeks ago, and they had to wait till he came back to get it signed off. And so that 2 weeks is up now. So we'll just keep at it and we would beg the media not to lose hold of this issue, to keep following it. We will keep asking the questions. We will keep reporting to the media, because it's only the media that will get this totally across the line, Donal, without a doubt.
Susan, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us, and it's an important one. Obviously, as you said, it's one we've discussed before, and we will indeed be keeping a very close eye on this one. For the moment, Susan Gray of Park, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Donal.
Okay, Susan, you take care. That's Susan there. Coming very close to the end of the 9 till noon show, just one or two comments before we go. Caller says you spoke there of a community who'd like to hear the old air raid siren. I have 5 such sirens. I'm just a collector. If any community wanted to put one to good use, I'd give them one. Another caller says complaints came into the council in 2012, and 12 years later, what is Kieran Brogan's response to the latest Ditch report? And going to finish on this comment. Caller says, I met with one of the defective concrete facilitators in the last number of weeks about getting on the enhanced scheme. While they were helpful and friendly, I did note how they framed things, such as implying there is a lot of scaremongering on radio and even with the redress group, and that much of it is untrue. I disagreed with them. They implied that while not perfect, the current scheme people could get a nearly new home with little personal expense. I said I found myself in disagreement with that. They said about 80% of people that are on the scheme are happy with it, and that there's a myth about those in Dublin affected by mycopyrite that they got 100%, but this isn't true. Apparently they had other costs to pay. I think some of these facilitators have their narrative and try to dismiss anything that deviates from it. I came away from the meeting not very satisfied or encouraged. They referenced how some people expect to get huge houses rebuilt or demolished, which isn't realistic, and are expecting expensive items to be included in the scheme. I said if you pay for something fair and square, you should be entitled to full recompense, if not up to standard. People need to be aware that these facilitators are working for the government and not for you. And thank you, caller, for your comment. And that's it for the 9 till noon show. John Breslin's up next around the Northwest. Thank you to Shannon and to Caroline for taking your calls. Caroline produced and held in my hand as always. Thanks to all our contributors to the programme. Most importantly, thank you to you for your contributions and to you for listening. I'm Donal Kavanagh. See you again tomorrow. Until then, have a very good day.
Go full Lidl for exclusive Lidl Plus Super Savers. Mix and match 3 Irish barbecue meats for €9. Like our Board B approved deluxe